Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Dalton picked off in the back of the end zone by Antonio Hamilton, who takes a knee. Dalton underneath, and is tipped, an interception. And all the way inside the 10 to the end zone goes Marco Wilson. Marquez Callaway could not hold on. Dalton steps up. Picked off at the 40-yard line. Isaiah Simmons. Simmons down the sideline. Simmons inbounds. Simmons all the way.
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, a Friday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Beards. We head up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you talking some football today. A lot of football to get into. We'll hang out with Matt Derrick in the 11 o'clock hour. Hang out with Kendall Gammon at noon. Mick Shaffer after Kendall Gammon for the rest of the show, mixed in with some Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid and TBD today out at the practice facilities, post-practice today. Hearing from them who practiced, who didn't practice as they get ready for the challenge of the 49ers, as Andy Reid will be looking forward to the challenge. Facing off against the 49ers coming up on Sunday, 3:25, and a 49ers team that, you know, we've been keeping an eye on all week to see who would be available and who would not be available for this team, mainly through the prism of the injury report. Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, Charvarius Ward, Hufanga, Eric Armstead, Verrett, Christian McCaffrey, all of these guys that we had been talking about all week to see if they would be available for the 49ers.
The San Francisco 49ers centerpieces.
That's
like
right.
all of those guys. Long-time San Francisco 49ers, most of them.
That's exactly right. And as a quick aside, if you'd want to know, Armstead, Ward, and Hufanga still did not practice yesterday. So back-to-back DNPs for them. The same status for Bosa and Trent Williams being limited in practice. And Jason Verrett is kind of like Trent McDuffie in that he may play this weekend, Verrett, but he's not on the injury report because he's coming off the IR, so he doesn't have to be listed on the injury report, but there is a decent chance that their cornerback will return as well. So they could have Bosa, the cornerback that hasn't played this year, in Verrett, Trent Williams, who's missed, a couple of weeks, and Christian McCaffrey.
Why not? You know, why not?
They could have him. I think Christian McCaffrey will play. We were texting last night. By the way, before it came out, I've got the record. I've got the timestamp.
Yes.
Before it came out that he's expected to have some plays this weekend, we were talking about it, and I said McCaffrey will absolutely play for the 49ers this weekend. And the only reason I thought that is because watching last night's game, Robbie Anderson out there on the field for the Cardinals, and I'm like, okay, he was traded Monday. So Monday the trade. Then you've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So 3 days after he was traded, he played. McCaffrey's traded on a Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 3 days after he would be traded is when the Chiefs and 49ers go up against each other. And if the Cardinals felt like Robbie Anderson could get out there on the field to help them, you'd better know for a fact the 49ers are saying, yeah, we can get Christian McCaffrey involved in some way, shape, or form for this team. Since we're going to be giving up a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth for Christian McCaffrey, and not just what was Robbie Anderson, like a sixth or something?
Some change. I think it was a 6th and 7 or something like that.
Right, 6th and 7th and some gobstoppers.
Yeah, which are great, by the way.
And $20 in some envelopes, something like that, along with the 6th rounder. So if you're giving up what is the equivalent of a late first rounder by the trade value charts, you'd probably want him out there because you feel like he's a big piece of your team. So, I don't know, 10, 15 plays? 10 to 15 plays for Christian McCaffrey, more or less? I'd put the over-under at 13.5.
First of all, when I saw this last night, I don't know if I broke the news to you and Beards, if you guys had seen it before I got the text off.
The only reason it was like you were like a minute later because on the broadcast at Amazon Prime, you had Al Michaels that said, and for those that may not be seeing it, Adam Schefter has just now reported that Christian McCaffrey has been traded to, and I'm listening, I'm like, not Buffalo. Not Buffalo. Not Buffalo. The 49ers. Oh, cool. Oh wait, they played
that's kind of interesting.
This week.
I would have been sitting there going, not the Chiefs. Not the Chiefs. Not the Chiefs. But, not the AFC is fine with me as well.
I knew it wasn't going to be the Chiefs, so I didn't want it to be Buffalo.
No, I feel that. I think that's totally fair. I legitimately did the thing where I saw the news. I get push notifications for some of the big insiders and all of that. I try to stay up to date on that
I never
stuff.
get notified when I'm going to be pushed. Just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll try to give you a heads up next time.
Thank you.
I was so ready to double click through and be like, okay, is that the swirly emoji or is that a check? That's a check mark. It's not Adam Scheffler.
Right.
It's
not a darn Schefter.
Not a darn
not
Schefter.
A darn.
What the bleep? And then as the terms came out and everything, it only got crazier. We could talk about all that.
Yep.
But as you said in the text thread, I think my official bet was 8 touches on 15 snaps or something like that.
Yeah.
Your logic on Robbie Anderson was great. I hadn't considered that for a second. My logic was Kyle Shanahan's not going to be able to stop himself, man. Are you kidding me? He has a currently healthy Christian McCaffrey going up against the Chiefs in what was already kind of the game of the week in a week where the slate isn't awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no way he's going to keep that dude off the field at home. We're gonna see Christian McCaffrey in a gold helmet for the first time on Sunday.
I think there's a secondary impact on the game Sunday. I've already felt like it's a sneaky, scary game for the Chiefs. Look, I had it as a loss for them before the season started. I had them 4-3 before the bye. I had them losing to the Bucs, the Bills, and the 49ers. They beat the Bucs but lost to the Colts, so they switched that. But I had them losing to the Bills and the 49ers. I think they beat the 49ers this weekend. But McCaffrey on the field, yeah, he can make an impact. He's going to be limited. So he's not going to be their starting running back that you would see whether it was Wilson or Mitchell that you've seen the last couple of years. But what I think it does secondarily to the game is I think it's a shot in the arm and a boost of energy for the 49ers team. Like, I think their players are like, all right, they believe in us. The coaches believe in us. Let's go get this. They're feeling like we can win it this year. They don't make that trade if they don't think we can win it this year. Let's go do this. What an opportunity against this Chiefs team that, yes, some of the players on the field were on the field, a few years ago down in Miami, whether that matters or not. But all right, this is now the turning of the page. Yeah, we're 500, but we're not 500 to where the front office thinks we're just sort of spinning our wheels and we're treading water, and that's all we're really doing. They think we can go. McCaffrey in. Let's do it, man. Let's get it. I think there's a secondary sort of mental boost to the 49ers this weekend in a game that I already thought was kind of scary, trap game-ish with the bye week right around the corner, and you just lost to the Bills.
I don't disagree with that from the player perspective, but you used a phrase that I saw last night that I think is so interesting from the bigger Niners perspective of, oh, you know what? We're trying to win right now. If you're Jimmy G or if you're George Kittle or Debo or anyone on that incredibly talented defense, this feels like a good move to you. I'm with you on that front. Michael Sean Dugar of The Athletic, he covers the Seahawks, was tweeting this last night. So the Niners in March 2021. We can win now with Jimmy G, but we can't keep winning with Jimmy G. 49ers 2022 offseason. It's Trey Lance time. Let's trade Jimmy G. 49ers, October 2022. Well, let's go all in on winning the Super Bowl with Jimmy G. And this is where I wonder if the Niners haven't lost the plot for themselves a little bit. Like, again, I'm just going to pile on for 1 second. Ben Solak tweets out, since the 2021 NFL draft, the 49ers have spent the following on running backs. 2021 third, 2021 sixth, 2022 third, 2023 second, 2023 third, 2024 fourth. basically a third, a sixth, a third, a second, a third, and a fourth-round draft pick. And their leading rusher this season is Jeff Wilson, an undrafted free agent from 2018.
That's right. I wrote that down as well. I love that we both saw the same. We both saw, whether it was the same person or not, I don't know where I saw mine from.
Sure. I have another version of that I also retweeted.
Mine might have been from Pro Football Focus in a tweet that was, we break down what Christian McCaffrey means to the 49ers. So then I clicked on that, and then they went through all of the draft picks for the running backs.
Trevor Sikkema also tweeted it out, who has been of a second rounder, 3/3, a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth on running backs.
Right.
And the running game's always been good.
Yeah. For now, McCaffrey, Tyrion Davis-Price, Elijah Mitchell that's on the IR, and Trey Sermon, who's not on the team anymore, who I missed on because I thought he was going to be pretty good in San Francisco. I thought Trey Sermon, running back with Kyle Shanahan, was going to be legit.
Yeah, it's usually a good bet.
And instead it was Elijah Mitchell, the guy who was a sixth rounder in that same draft. They took 2 running backs in that draft, in Trey Sermon and Elijah Mitchell. And they already had... Was Jeff Wilson? He was on the team last year, so they already had Jeff Wilson on the team.
Yep.
And then this year they spent a third rounder because their third rounder last year in Trey Sermon and their sixth rounder last year, who was good but had gone through some injury issues. Yeah. So let's have some depth this year with Davis-Price, and then still not good enough. So let's spend next year's second, third, and fourth to bring in a running back who's going to cost us $600,000 this year. And then $12 million next year, but it's $1 million that's guaranteed. So if he sucks this year, they can move on from him. But would you move on from him after giving up a second, a third, and a fourth for a rental? That's not a rental player price tag. That's not a rental player price tag. That's a rental quarterback price tag. That's like you know what? The Packers are trading Aaron Rodgers. You get him for 8 games. All right, we'll give up a second, third, and fourth, and a fifth for 8 games of Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, if that's the difference. The running back shouldn't be the difference between winning a Super Bowl and not winning a Super Bowl. Right. The Rams traded for Von Miller, who was a huge difference because he was rejuvenated. He went from being a guy that was like, boy, Von Miller, shell of himself this year in Denver, to, oh, that's Von Miller. Oh, and by the way, look at the contract he got by going to L.A. and balling out and saying, no, I still got it. I just didn't have it there. I was just done there, okay? But a second, a third, a fourth, and I joked with you. You were like, "What was the? Am I drunk?"
Dude, I think I said "Am I drunk?" I was legit like, again, shocked. I was shook to my core.
You said, "Am I drunk?" And I replied and said, "Yeah, I agree. That was pretty cheap for them to pay to get McCaffrey." You're right, man. I can't believe they didn't give up more to grab that guy. I agree. I totally agree with you.
Totally agree with you.
Totally agree with you in that. But
the Chiefs have only had a second, third, fourth, and a fifth round pick in a couple recent drafts, but it was Willie Gay, Lucas Niang, L'Jarius Sneed, and Mike Dana. Or this year, which probably isn't going to end up quite as good as that chunk, Brian Cook, Leo Chanel, Joshua Williams, Darian Kennard. Like, it's just a lot of players on rookie contracts, and they already gave a bunch of first round picks for Trey Lance.
Yeah, they don't have next year's first rounder still. So they don't have next year's first rounder, second rounder. They do have 2 third rounders, though.
Yeah.
Because of compensatory picks, Mike McDaniel and Robert Saleh.
Right.
So they've got 2 third rounders.
In offsetting years, right?
Yep. But 2 third rounders next year.
Correct.
And then McDaniel the year after that.
Right.
So this is the second year of Saleh. This is the first year of McDaniel.
Right.
So those are their first picks, are their 2 third rounders. And then I think they have a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth. So those are the draft picks they have, but they've got Trey Lance at quarterback, and they now have Christian McCaffrey as their running back, which they feel like maybe this year and then maybe next year is going to be the year that you put McCaffrey and Trey Lance in the backfield together. But what you're running into is, like, you traded the draft capital to get up and get Trey Lance, and it will be year number 3. Yeah, so it's year 3 next year.
Yeah.
So it's year 3 of his 4-year/5th year option.
Yeah.
So
it's decision time.
Still don't know if he's good.
Right.
He will open up his negotiating window. The first year he would be a starter. And I know he was a starter this year, but they're not going to know what they have in Trey Lance as a starter full season because of the unfortunate injury. And that sucks for them, and it's not something you can really plan for. Sure. You don't expect your quarterback that you drafted to be gone for the year. This was the year they thought they were going to have him. And then you would have 2 years to say, negotiating window open. We know, is this the franchise guy? Instead, this Trey Lance situation might go the route of Lamar Jackson, where it's I know the window's open, but we ain't ready yet. We may wait a little bit to figure this whole thing out. Now, I know the Ravens were wanting to do something with Lamar Jackson. He was the one more saying, I'm going to keep waiting, and I'm going to sort of bet on myself in this way. But, I mean, we're in agreement on Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
But people have looked at Brett Veach as like, the first-round draft pick he spent on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, awful. Right, but in his drafts, he spent a 7th, a 5th, and a 1st. The first one is egregious. The other 2 running backs that they selected were 5th-rounder Darwin Thompson and 7th-rounder Pacheco. Not bad.
6th for Thompson.
6th, yeah. Yep. 6th for Darwin Thompson, but he was the 5th pick of that draft for the Chiefs.
Ah, sure, yes.
That's where I got confused. 6th round, but 5th pick. Whereas Pacheco was the 7th round. He was the 9th player selected by the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So it's not like, Edwards-Helaire was the first one.
And hey, you know what? I'm
taken.
glad they got Jalen Watson when they did. I'm glad they didn't go ahead and roll the dice on him because that seems like a good pick.
Seems pretty good. Absolutely. So while I'm not a fan of Edwards-Helaire in the first round, at least they haven't then said Edwards-Helaire is not the guy. Let's double down and get a running back in the second round. Okay, you know what? He's not the guy. We're trading a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 4th so we can get McCaffrey because he's going to be the guy. And throwing numbers at the running back position. And I get it, Kyle Shanahan's offense, it relies on the running game and all of it. But if you see that you've got production from Elijah Mitchell, then is it worth the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th to get the upgrade of the dynamic playmaker like a McCaffrey while also knowing that he's got some injury issues? Is it worth those picks to get that upgrade from what you have with Jeff Wilson and Elijah Mitchell and what you're actually getting in production-wise from the running back position? And is that the real difference this year if you have McCaffrey with Jimmy G, and that's the guy that's going to put you over the hump to where you're going to go into next year, year 3 of Trey Lance, without a 1st, a 2nd, and a 3rd rounder until it's a comp pick, which is like pick 100 and below. So you're going to have like pick 100 and 105 are the first couple of picks they'll have. Year 3 of Trey Lance.
I just don't know how he can fulfill that price tag. What you just said. How could he be so much better than any of these other running backs who have been excellent consistently under Kyle Shanahan? I was trying to find the tweet just now. I can't remember who it came from, but it was along the lines of boy, it's fascinating that Kyle Shanahan essentially proved that individual running backs do not move the needle, and he is still on a search for something better. Like, there is something sort of Sisyphusian about that. Like, he's just pushing this rock up the hill. And this was even mentioned by, I believe this was Sam Monson, who I thought made a good point in sort of the argument for this being fun, at least. And look, the cost is crazy. But Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey on the field at the same time from a personnel perspective,
for sure.
Incredible. Kyle Shanahan got an awesome toy here. It's just a toy that breaks pretty easily and that isn't that much more valuable than the other toys you already have in that offense because of how you, to continue the analogy, for how you play with them. It'll be fun. I just don't think it can possibly be worth it.
They also might be looking and saying, yeah, this year we feel like we can go this year as well, and it's not necessarily a quote-unquote all-in like the Rams maybe were last year. And they could be viewing it as the players we still have under contract. We still have Trent Williams and Bosa. Ward, we went out and signed. We've still got him. The offensive line. Now we've got McCaffrey. We've got Deebo Samuel. And we get Trey Lance. So now we're going to have Ayuk and Deebo, wide receivers, with Trey Lance, his playmaking ability with his legs, and also McCaffrey and that offense with Kittle when he's available, and the defense they've built and have signed some players. So they might be looking at this and saying, okay, this is now a 2.5-year window. The rest of this year and then the next 2 years with Trey Lance, McCaffrey, Deebo, Ayuk, the guys on the defense, and then reassess where they're at that point. But where they'll be at that point is a couple of years without first-rounders to try to replenish that.
The quarterback.
Right, and maybe still not having the quarterback that they don't know about. Let's bring in Todd Lebo here because he is hanging out at Robert Brogdon here in the zone. Todd, what is going on out there besides just you?
Well, we're talking Chiefs out here. First thing when I walked in, we're like, McCaffrey, is he going to take some snaps? I'm like, no, he's not taking
playing
snaps. And I'm like, yeah, he's probably going to take some snaps.
I'm putting the over-under at 13.5 snaps.
Oh, what a wild night that was. No, I'm out here at Robert Brogdon Olathe Buick GMC at I-35 in Santa Fe. They've got Customer Appreciation Day tomorrow. Okay, you can come out here and hang out with us today. That'll be fun. But tomorrow, all day long, they've got, and you can't miss it. They've got the big 25-foot Carfax out front that's blown up. So you can't miss Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC. That's going to be here. It's here today. It'll be here tomorrow. They've got the Melt food truck is going to be here tomorrow. So you're going to come by with the kids, grab a little lunch. Anyone who does a test drive tomorrow out here at Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC will automatically get a Quick Trip gift card for gas. And then at the end of the day, there's going to be a drawing, and someone's going to get a year of free car washes. They've got the old Olympic car wash there on Ridgeview. It is now owned by Robert Brogdon, so it's a great thing. Come on out here as customer appreciation. Get yourself a test drive. They've got a lot more vehicles now than they've had in the past few months. A bunch of new GMC 2022 Sierras and Terrains. You can do a test drive. You get yourself a gas card. Might win car washes for an entire year. Get yourself some lunch. So it's going to be a good time out here, and talk Chiefs with them because they're big Chiefs fans out here. And maybe we'll know exactly how many snaps Christian McCaffrey's going to get tomorrow. I think this trade's insane from my perspective.
Me too.
I mean, running backs are running backs. Tell me when the last expensive running back was the difference maker for a Super Bowl team. I'm trying to remember.
I love this radicalized Todd Lebo. This right here, this is the good stuff. Welcome to the dark side, my friend.
Let's go back. I mean, real quick, I know we got a break, but so you've got Rams. No. You've got Bucks. I mean, Fournette, they didn't pay they traded for him, but they didn't pay a lot. Ronald Jones was a second rounder, right? So they spent a second rounder and then whatever they traded for Fournette.
I think Sony Michel at the Patriots, I think he won one there, but it wasn't even as a huge. I don't even know if he was a leading rusher at that time.
Damian Williams.
You know what? If you give me the commercial break, first of all, it'll help make Beards happy. But second of all, I think there was actually a chart a couple of years ago that actually sorted running back salaries by Super Bowl winners, and I think I can get that over the course of a commercial break. I gotta have to do some digging.
It's a great question, Todd. I appreciate you sparking some things in our minds to come back on the inside of the break and think of it.
Loves running back talk, and I was looking through Christian McCaffrey's playoff log. It's short, okay, and that was with Cam Newton, and when Christian McCaffrey was making no money and Cam Newton was his quarterback. But since then, I don't know, I don't get it. Go spend away, Niners. Go ahead.
Both the Rich Hill chart and the Jimmy Johnson chart equal roughly a 30-second. The 32nd pick in the draft for the picks that they gave up is roughly a Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick. It's roughly the 32nd pick in the draft.
Kent Swanson broke that news to me first last night. I was blowing up the group chats last night, man.
Yeah.
And
I did that this morning. Kent, why didn't you text me? You could have saved me 15 minutes of going through and doing the math on the Rich Hill and the Jimmy Johnson value chart.
That's good.
Todd,
that's good.
All right, so real quick, we're going to catch up with you in the 11 o'clock hour with Matt Derrick as well.
And you got Lee Sterling in a little bit.
That's right.
That's right.
But real quick, what's going on there again, and then we'll take a break.
Customer Appreciation Day tomorrow at Robert Brogdon Olathe Buick GMC. You come on by here today for sure. We're hanging out here having fun talking Chiefs. But tomorrow you definitely want to come by, get a test drive. You can get yourself in that drawing for the year free car wash, and you can also get a gas card, from Quick Trip that you can get just for test driving. And awesome. Like I said, they've got a lot more vehicles out here, so it is time to buy. They've of course always got their 90-day money back guarantee at Robert Brogdon Olathe Buick GMC. We're gonna have a good time here till noon today, and then I'm going to Chiefs, and I'm gonna ask Andy Reid how scared he is of Christian McCaffrey.
As you should. Todd Lebo there. We'll hear from you with Lee Sterling, and we'll talk to you in the next hour as well. Thank you, Todd. Appreciate it, sir. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. I want to hear from Patrick Mahomes and what he talked about in recognizing different looks from defenses and maybe some more trust and working from the pocket. We can get into that as well. And then what does it mean for Brian Burns and the Panthers? We'll talk about that next as well. More Zone.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
913-912-4810. Not going to read that text because you're a jerk.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk with Matt Derrick coming up at the 11 o'clock hour. Kendall Gammon at noon. We'll hear from Lee Sterling coming up later on this hour, what he thinks of that line for the Chiefs, which is sitting at 2 now. McCaffrey changed it a half point.
I know that I deliver curses whenever I make this happen, but man, I just feel like this game is this is a game that the Chiefs have a chance to just put themselves right back on the rails again, and we'll all go into the bye week feeling nice.
I guess if so it was.
If the defense is healthy, it's maybe a different story. It's a good matchup for sure.
It was 2.5, then it was 3, then it was back down to 2.5. Now it's a 2. So started off and people were like, whoa, 2.5. I'm taking the Chiefs on that one. Got up to 3 and they're like, I don't know, 3 seems a little bit too. I'm going to take the 49ers here, and it's moved a point the last couple of days. So I mean, yesterday was 2.5, today it's 2. I don't know when it dropped. If it was last night at 10:30, I'm not sure, but. Yeah.
I'm checking the DraftKings money line here also. Look,
what is it?
2 points in all of that is that it feels pretty safe to me, a flat 2, but the Chiefs minus 130.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, guys. That looks pretty tasty to me. I've made my few passes through there already. I might make one more trip before Sunday.
I don't remember what I got it at, but on Sunday I got it. Right.
Yeah, I did it after. I also went at it Sunday. It's like, well, this is going to go up.
Right,
the fact that it's back at 2 now. Maybe that means that they feel pretty good about Bosa playing, which again would impact it. Maybe it's a lower scoring game, but I'd be pretty surprised if the Chiefs lost this one.
Yeah, I got it at minus 110.
Really?
Yeah.
That was on Sunday?
On
That must
Sunday.
have been when I jumped in originally, too.
I got it minus 110. So I'm glad I got it then instead of, what is it, 130?
130 now.
Right
I'd take 130.
I would too, because then we'd be done in 30 minutes. And
Hey-o.
we'd be off to the weekend.
Could I interest you in some running back salaries?
Please interest me.
I think you're going to love this.
I am interested.
So this is, I just DM'd you guys the chart also on our
cool.
Twitter DM.
Slid into my DMs.
I
in
slid
the
into your
break.
DMs. This is from Marcus Mosher on Twitter, going through 2021 Super Bowl winners, leading rusher plus salary, going all the way back to 2009. Here's what I'll tell you in recent years. Cam Akers, $1.1 million base salary. Leonard Fournette, $2 million. Damian Williams, $1 million. Sony Michel, LeGarrette Blount for the Eagles and Patriots, back-to-back years there.
That's right.
C.J. Anderson, LeGarrette Blount again, all under $1 million. Everyone on that list, under $1 million.
2 different teams with LeGarrette Blount.
2 different
Patriots
teams,
and Eagles.
3 different years. Ridiculous. And then Percy Harvin in 2013 was actually $2.5 million base salary. Apparently, he led the Seahawks in rushing in that game. And then Ray Rice in 2012, $2 million.
Wow.
Ahmad Bradshaw, James Starks back in 2010, and Pierre Thomas in 2009, 1.5 and then some change.
Lee Summit North of Missouri Western?
The one and the same.
How about that, man?
look at that.
I know him.
That's incredible.
Oh, wait, that might be a different Pierre Thomas.
Is it a different guy?
With the Saints. I think
It's a pretty unique name.
I kind of feel like Pierre's time at Missouri Western was, earlier in the 2000s. Plus, he played safety.
They could have switched positions.
But he was a running back in high
somewhere
school.
else. Yeah, they moved him back.
Got screwed over by, BS suspension senior year. Whatever. I mean, that's old news, right? Old news. But Pierre Thomas, $460,000.
You have one player in the last 20-ish years, basically.
Oh, man.
You have one player, I guess not 20, 15 years, one player over the last 15-ish years who has made more than $2 million as a running back. Actually, none, because Percy Harvin wasn't really a running back. I can't remember what his role was in Seattle exactly.
Like Debo?
But kind of Debo-ish,
like.
Yeah. Teams with highly paid running backs have not won the Super Bowl in a very long time. It's not to say that it can't happen that way, but it is to say it doesn't happen that way.
Did you skip over the Chiefs running back when you mentioned everybody?
No, Damian
Williams, $1 million.
Flat $1 million and change. I mean, that's how this typically works. Teams with those highly paid backs end up regretting those contracts by the back end. I do think it's interesting that McCaffrey basically has a freebie second half of this year because the Panthers are paying all that money. But then even whenever he goes back up to the $11-12 million range in future years, even as the Panthers keep paying off some of those prorated bonuses, it's not a special value unless he is really, really exceptional.
So I'm not sure what the Percy Harvin is. Why he lists Percy Harvin?
I think he led the team in the Super Bowl game. Is my assumption.
Okay.
I don't have the box score.
I was going to say,
I think Marshawn Lynch was
Marshawn Lynch
rusher
had
on that team.
1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns that year as a running back. So I kind of feel like. Now, I don't know what his salary was in 2013.
I'll go find out. I'll have it in just a second. I'm on a spot track right now.
What if I get it before you?
Well, we can race then.
Okay.
And yeah, there could be a little bit of a logistical trick there of like, oh, look at these, look at how the teams managed in this one particular game. His deal with Seattle at that time, though, was about $12 million average. That was 15 through 17, actually. When was that Super Bowl? 13.
2013.
It would have been less than that. It would have been about $7.5 million per year over the life of that contract, those 4 years.
Where's the breakdown?
I know. I'm going to career earnings right now. Like, come on here, Spot Track. You got me. 2014, 6.5.
Was his cap hit?
That was his earnings that year. I'm not sure.
I got it now.
Yeah, roster bonus. I think 6.5 looks right.
I got it now.
Was it 6.5?
2013, his base salary
13.
was 7.
I was on 14.
And his cap hit was 8.5.
And in that instance, you know what else they had on their hands?
What's that?
Quarterback on a rookie contract.
Exactly right.
You can afford that a little bit if you're not paying a quarterback, which the Niners still are doing.
I think the number at that time, because I talked about it, is that Russ and Sherman were a combined $1 million against the salary cap that year. Something like 1 or 1.5 when you got Richard Sherman and Russell Wilson combined. That's all you're getting against the salary cap. Yeah,
Pretty good deal.
That certainly helps with those
sure
two
does.
guys.
Wow.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and we'll hear Todd Lebo with Lee Sterling. That comes up next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810.
Who's going to win and by how much? You're about to find out from national sports handicapping champion Lee Sterling on The Zone. Log on to ParamountSports.com or call toll-free 800-400-9741 to get started.
It's a Red Friday on The Zone, and that means it's time to talk to our good friend Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports. Reminder, I am out here at Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC. It's Customer Appreciation Weekend. Got big events going. We've got the inflatable car fox going to be out at the Appreciation Day tomorrow. They've got lunch from the Melt Food Truck. A lot of fun things here. You can find more information out about that at robertbrogdon.com. And they're going to be part of the halftime presentation at Olathe North High School tonight because Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC is always involved with the community, and someone who's always involved with everything with us with sports gambling in the state of Kansas is our good friend Lee Sterling. October is not quite yet over, Lee. How much fun are you having with this football season? What specials do you have for us this week?
Oh, yeah. We've got the Baker's Dozen is back. 13 games combined Saturday and Sunday, just $97 as soon as you purchase it. Window pops open all 13 games, and I mean, we've had some 12-1, 11-2, and 10-3 records on that over the last couple of years. And what a year we're having! 8 out of 10 winning weeks. We hit both 45-unit best bets, our biggest plays of the year last week. So you want to get involved. Now's the time. Don't wait. And all the other sports. Hockey started. We're 15-5. NBA started a couple nights ago. We're off to a winning record there. And also the UFC and baseball playoffs. UFC starts early, 9 a.m. Saturday morning, so you want to get on that pay-per-view package, and also baseball playoffs. We're 13-10 in the baseball playoffs. So this is the best time of year. Every single sport's going on, and we're winning in every single sport. Check out all the specials, ParamountSports.com, or you can always call us, 800-400-9741.
Yeah, that Air Force game was easy pickings last Saturday night. I didn't stay up for the end of it. I went to sleep with a sound mind because it was already in the bag before my head hit the pillow last week. So that was a big 45-unit play for you guys. All right, let's talk a little homecoming. I'm going to be down in Columbia tomorrow for the Missouri-Vanderbilt game. Missouri's given 14 points. They haven't won a game in a month. That seems like a lot in this game.
Okay, big game here. So Vanderbilt, believe it or not, 3-4. Trying to get to a bowl. Missouri 2-4, trying to get to a bowl also. So you're saying, why are the Tigers favored by 2 touchdowns? Well, they dominated Florida, should have won the game here, and they have improved their defense. Eli Drinkwitz has really made these 2 units much stronger here. So sometimes you look at the records and it doesn't show up in the records. It's not reflected there, but they are much stronger here. Vanderbilt's still paper thin on defense here. Sometimes you got to lay it if you want to play it. We're going with Missouri Tigers big here, 38-17.
All right, we got a big one in the Big 12 with all the ugly orange, the bright orange and the burnt orange. Texas is at Oklahoma State. Texas is favored in this game. That's a pretty wild number for me right here because the Pokes maybe should be undefeated. That was a tough one last week at TCU.
Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing now. It's showing us that you can't coast to any big win. I mean, both these 2 teams were up big, up 2 touchdowns, and Cyclones, they were on the Texas's 32-yard line and driving for the win when they fumbled that ended the game here. And then, you know, the Cowboys team was up big and just couldn't come up with that one big play, couple more first downs. They could have won that game here. So Texas is one of these teams here that I just don't have my doubts here on the road. They went to Texas Tech and lost that game. I know Quinn Ewers is back, and I think he's really good. But remember this, Texas has not faced a quarterback that can run like this and also not faced and don't usually do well against up-tempo offenses here. I think Oklahoma State pulls off the shocker 35-34.
All right, we got all the purple down in the Metroplex as well. K-State is undefeated in the league. TCU is undefeated overall. TCU is a slight favorite in this game. This is going to be some interesting football to watch to see if Adrian Martinez can keep up his hot streak over the last month or so with the Cats.
Okay, so Spike Dykes, when he was at SMU, Sonny Dykes was really good. 2019, 7-0, 1 point in the year. Then 2020, 5-0. 2021, 7-0. Then what happens? Nothing more. You never heard again from SMU. They're undefeated. They're playing great. Everything looks perfect, but they have not faced a running quarterback the likes of Adrian Martinez. Yeah, Spencer Sanders, he's good, but he gained 68 yards and scored 2 touchdowns running the football. Jalen Daniels was starting to do something, then he gets hurt early in that game. Adrian Martinez has amassed almost 550 rushing yards. I think he's going to give TCU's defense big-time problems here. This is where the Cats do their best work. 5-1 against the spread versus the Frogs. Never trailed in last year's 31-12 win as a 3.5-point favorite. And the Frogs just 4-12 against the spread as a home favorite. Didn't cover last week, laying 3.5 to 4. No comeback this week for TCU. Wrong team favored. Kansas State outright 34-31.
All right, in the NFL, fun story with the New York Jets, right? And an awful, just terrible watch for anyone who's a Broncos fan. But the Broncos are a slight favorite at home, which means they're not really favored to win the game, right? If you're only like a 1 or 1.5 point favorite. Can the Jets pull off another big road win here in Denver this week?
These two teams seem to play each other every year because they usually finish the last couple of years last in their division. But don't look now. Jets are 4-2, 3-0 on the road for the first time since 2010 here. Quinnen Williams, what a game he had in Lambeau last week. 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, a forced fumble, blocked field goal. I mean, did everything but sell popcorn at halftime. And Breece Hall, running back who they drafted from Iowa State, who you know and love, boy, is he looking good. I mean, 120-plus yards from scrimmage and a touchdown each of the last 2 weeks. I think they keep doing it here. I like the Jets here. Denver's got real problems here. Jets 24-20.
All right, our Chiefs had a tough one at home last week against the Bills. You were on that one as well. People didn't like it, but you were on the Bills, and you were right. You've been right on the Chiefs on both their losses this year because you had the Colts as well. What do you think is going to happen out here in San Francisco? The Chiefs are a slight favorite on the road. The Niners need this one pretty bad.
They do, but, I mean, you just look at their lineup. Their offensive line depleted. Their defensive backfield depleted. Defensive line, which might be the most important position against Kansas City, depleted because of injuries. All 3 positions. So you can't rotate 6-7, strong defensive linemen against the pass. And I think that's going to hurt them. I think they're at a real disadvantage here. So I think the Chiefs' defense looked good last week, held the Bills to just 24 points, 6 below their average before that game here. And despite a really easy schedule, the 49ers have lost already to Chicago, Denver, and the Falcons here. They're going to face an offense not even close to what they've faced so far this year. They're just not built for a shootout like this here. I like Kansas City, 34-20.
Yeah, they'll need that going into the off week. All right, Lee, Locktober is still rocking and rolling. Tell us about that, the Baker's Dozen, and your game of the week, which is the Jayhawks.
Yeah, Locktober, 2 weeks. All my phone service games are October 31st, where we rate them from 10 to 50 units. We hit both of our biggest plays of the week and year last week, 45-unit plays. So we're 53-18 on those going back the last dozen years. You want to hop on board 2 weeks of our phone service, use coupon code SAVE100, just $157. You want to get just this week's games, Saturday and Sunday. Yep, Baker's Dozen, 13 games. Just $97. The UFC card on Saturday morning, $47 for 7 selections. Hockey, we're 15-5 to start the year. NBA has started. Baseball playoffs through the World Series, $97. Everything's up and available. No one wins like us. We have probably the highest documented record seen in the history of sports. Just one place. Love to have you aboard for the ride. ParamountSports.com.
All right, Lee, good luck this week. We will check in with you on Sunday on Chiefs Tailgate. I'm broadcasting live out here at Robert Brogdon Olathe Buick GMC. It's Customer Appreciation Day tomorrow. You need to come on by here. They're going to have a food truck. They've got the 25-foot-tall giant inflatable car Fox. It's going to be a lot of fun out there. And, of course, Robert Brogdon Olathe Buick GMC is the best place to come shop for all of your GMC products. They've got new inventory coming in all the time, and they've always got their 90-day money-back guarantee on all new vehicle purchases. It is a great deal, and they've got wonderful financing things going on as well. Come on by. We're going to be here till noon today, and, of course, tomorrow is Customer Appreciation Day. So bring the family by, get some food, and get yourself a new look at a GMC. It's all here at Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC at I-35 in Santa Fe. I'll be here till noon. More Zone coming up next on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Zone with Jason Anderson
That's a clown take, bro.
on Sports Radio 810.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Beards. Hanging out with Matt Derrick for the hour. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Matt, what's up, man?
I just realized I'm getting jiggy with it on Twitch.
Yes.
I always dance.
10 years ago, did you think you said something like that? Getting jiggy with it on Twitch.
Imagine what you would have thought if you would have learned 10 years from now I'm going to be getting jiggy with Twitch. I imagine you assumed you got into hard drugs. That's what I would have assumed.
Yeah, that's right.
Twitch is kind of a drug.
Jiggy on Twitch.
Getting jiggy on Twitch.
Is Twitch a new drug? It must be. Must be that new drug.
Kind of is.
So, McCaffrey to the 49ers.
What?
Why didn't the Chiefs give up 2 firsts to get McCaffrey here? Brisco
Thank
has
you.
been lobbying for another running back in town for a couple of years. Whatever it takes, anything you need to give up for a McCaffrey, you do that. All joking aside, what did you think of the trade? 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounder from the 49ers to the Panthers for Christian McCaffrey. They owe him about $600,000 this year, and then he'll be $12 million next year, although they can cut him because he's only – but that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense if you were to cut him after trading a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So what did you make of the trade and the fact that, he's on the 49ers this Sunday against the Chiefs?
Pretty good haul for the Panthers.
Yes.
Pretty happy for them, I guess. I mean, I don't really care, but I guess good for them.
Yeah.
I guess the other alternative would be if that's the price for Christian McCaffrey. Brian Burns.
We were
Good
texting.
luck.
Yeah, we were texting last night, Josh and Beards and I. We were going through and just talking about McCaffrey, and I'm like, well,
good luck.
One of my takeaways is that Chiefs ain't in the Brian Burns market.
No.
Because if it takes a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th to get McCaffrey, they're probably looking at a 1st and a 2nd, a couple of 1st, or
if I'm Carolina,
1st, 2nd, and a 3rd.
A 1st and a 2nd, I'm turning down. I mean,
yeah,
you're probably talking a 1st and a 1st, or a 1st, 2nd, and
2
plus.
2 first, you give back a 2nd, something like that.
Brian Burns for Frank Clark straight up. Who says no?
Who does say no?
Probably a lot of people.
Oh.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't.
Nobody wearing red.
I was going to say nobody on the red side would. It might be those in the Carolinas.
Be one of those polls
say,
if you put it up. There'd
no.
be like a little spot in Kansas City.
Well, check that.
And everybody else.
I shouldn't say nobody in red. Frank Clark in red would say no to that. But
That's
Brian Burns would not say no. He'd be okay with that. Why don't they just ask him? Why don't the Panthers just simply say, what's best for you, Brian? What do you want? Okay, the Chiefs allowed Tyreek to choose between the Jets and the Dolphins. That's very nice of them. And the same thing, Panthers could be, what do you want? You want to go to Kansas City? Okay, they can only give us a 4th rounder, but it's all good. We'll do that. But no, they are not in the Brian Burns market because they're going to ask for a whole lot, and it's different from an aging running back who's often injured, and they're trying to figure out what they have even on offense with the quarterback, and they're trying to rebuild, new coach, and does that then mean the quote-unquote fire sale is, well, you just got to trade Brian Burns? Like, it ain't it's not the major league trade deadline for a team that's awful and a guy who's a free agent at the end of the year, where it's like, you better trade him or you're going to get, maybe something back for him in a draft pick. That's it. You got to trade. They don't have to trade Brian Burns. 24 years old. He's got the 5th-year option next year. They can sign him to a long-term deal and say, okay, we're still investing in the defense. We took a high draft pick in J.C. Horn, a year ago. We got Brian Burns. We got some pieces that we like. We got to figure out the quarterback position and the offense, and we're rebuilding from that standpoint and acquiring draft picks.
This isn't Major League Baseball where you just start shedding everybody and rebooting and starting from scratch and and trying to tank and everything. No, you turn around too quickly in the NFL. Brian Burns is the piece. If you think that you can be a winning team in Carolina in 2 years, Brian Burns is a piece of that.
Yeah.
So there's no way on earth you're trading Brian Burns, and unless you are, it's because you just got blown away by an offer.
That's right. And the Chiefs are not going to be in the business of blowing people away in an offer and just offering whatever it takes. Carolina right now 1-5, so they would have the number 1 pick right now with the 1-5 record.
And I think with their quarterbacks, they're going to get there.
The other 1-win teams are 1-4 right now. So, yeah, I mean,
That's the team built to get that number 1 pick.
Pretty high draft pick. But do you expect McCaffrey to play this weekend?
I'd be very surprised.
If he did?
If he played?
Oh, I'd be shocked if he didn't.
I'd be stunned if he did. I mean,
over under 13.5 plays.
I'm
if you think it's zero, you
taking the under.
Give us your logic, because Jason and I have a little group think going on, and we can make our case. But I want to know why you're out on him probably not playing.
I mean, I suppose there's a reasonable chance that, well, maybe not unreasonable. I guess there's a chance that he practices today. But otherwise, are you putting a player who has never taken part in a serious NFL practice into a game after he's been on the team for 2 days and might not have had a chance to read the playbook yet?
Let me give my logic and then you give yours.
What can Jimmy
Jason.
Garoppolo do on Sunday other than just say, hey, McCaffrey, run here?
So mine is on vibes and Jason's is on actual analysis. So welcome to the zone. My feeling on Christian McCaffrey playing in this game.
I actually snorted.
Yes, McBeard, we got to snort. Mark the snort.
Wow.
Here's my logic.
Speaking of getting jiggy on Twitch,
let's snort some jiggy on Twitch.
I don't remember the last time I snorted. That's pretty impressive.
College maybe, rave.
I was way too cool for that.
I thought you. Okay, that's sorry. I guess I never offered. Never mind. We'll talk during the break. Anyway, that was a joke, everybody. It's a fun drug joke for the radio. My thought is Kyle Shanahan vibe check. Imagine him trying to help himself. They just traded even more draft picks for a running back that they really didn't need, but would be fun with Deebo Samuel on the field. I don't think Kyle Shanahan's going to be able to help himself going against the Chiefs. That's my vibe logic. Jason has real logic, which is a fun twist on my skewed view.
I would have been on board with Matt if it weren't for last night's game and watching the Cardinals and Robbie Anderson out on the field. And just looking at the timeline. So Robbie Anderson was traded on Monday. And so Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they played on Thursday. McCaffrey traded on a Thursday, so then Friday, Saturday, playing on a Sunday. My logic is, and it's two different franchises, okay? My logic is, if the Cardinals felt it important enough to put Robbie Anderson out on the field for some plays just to, get him out there after trading for him on Monday, Shanahan and what they gave up for a piece like Christian McCaffrey, I'd guess there's probably 10 to 15 plays that they'll have ready to go that McCaffrey would just know. Here's what you're doing on these plays. When you're in the game, this is what we're doing. I don't think it's a McCaffrey's in the game, he's going to get the ball. Like, I put it at over under 13.5, and I think I like Briscoe's sort of 8. So I'll put it at 8.5 touches, maybe?
8 touches, 15 snaps was my immediate reaction to settling in on the thought process. Like, a specific packages. Definitely not as a full-on point of the offense.
See, my only counterpoint is Kyle Shanahan's a lot smarter than that. He's definitely smarter than Cleve Kingsbury.
What?
That one's fair. But I just don't think he's going to be able to help himself.
I'll be shocked if he does not play. I think there's got to be there'll be some packages out there for McCaffrey. 15 might be extreme, but I don't even know what the snap count was for Robbie Anderson last night. Don't really care.
He only got one target, I know.
Yeah, and it was a deep pass, and he was held. So I mean, the play was there.
I guess it worked.
I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that
they didn't call it.
If you've got an injury-riddled running back that you just acquired and hasn't practiced with your team,
it's good logic.
Got to get him out there.
And you're going up against one of the best teams in the league, and you're completely injury depleted as it is. Why not throw that guy out there and just see what happens?
See, that's good logic. That is good bigger picture if you're the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan of
what could possibly go wrong.
Right. But also we got McCaffrey. Let's just put a couple plays in there. I just want to taste. Just a little taste. That's it.
Here's my question. Would Andy Reid play him on Sunday?
Yes.
Not a chance.
I know, no chance.
HE double hockey sticks.
If he could get him to practice today, even a little bit, maybe. But you're right.
You don't put that guy out there in a bad position. You only put the black guy out there in a good situation.
Jeff Wilson's fine, right? Like, he's healthy.
Kyle Shanahan's too smart for that. And watch it here. I'll look like an absolute total idiot on Sunday.
Here's my counterpoint to that. Kyle Shanahan just okayed a trade for Christian McCaffrey. So maybe he's not smarter than that.
Maybe he didn't. Who knows?
Oh, that would be crazy.
Giving up a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth, which is, if you use the Rich Hill chart or the Jimmy Johnson chart, either one of them comes out to roughly the 32nd pick in the draft.
I can't believe the Chiefs didn't just trade him Clyde for that same haul.
It's the 32nd pick in the draft as well. The reason I'm asking about Jeff Wilson, I'm like, did Jeff Wilson get injured in the Atlanta game because he didn't get many carries or touches? He got one target. He got 7 carries. He's not on the injury report or anything, but he only had 7 carries, 25 yards. But throughout this season, 9 carries, 22 yards against Chicago, and then he became the guy because injuries at that point now is, okay, Jeff Wilson is your running back. 18 carries, 84 yards, 12 carries, 75 yards, 18 carries, 74 yards, 17 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown. So he averaged 4.7, 6.3, 4.1, and 7 yards per carry in those 4 games that he was the starter. That doesn't scream, good God, you need a running back, San Francisco. What is your issue with the running game? But I think Kyle Shanahan looks at it as a toy of, yeah, but now I got Debo and Christian McCaffrey. Also, next year I'm going to have Trey Lance, Christian McCaffrey, Debo, Brandon Ayuk, Kittle on the offense. Trent Williams still under contract. Now how good is this offense going to be once Trey Lance is able to show what he can do with those guys that could all run the ball, catch the ball, do some of those things? I think that might be the bigger picture.
This is going to be one of the most dangerous offenses in the league, 3 yards downfield.
Hey-o!
I mean, if you want to get the ball to players in space 3 yards downfield, this is going to be the offense to watch.
Okay.
It's just like starting a running game on the other side of the line of scrimmage, basically.
And that's not a knock on any of these guys because obviously Christian McCaffrey 3 years ago was a great player, and Debo Samuel is a great chess piece. Just maybe you want to stretch the field every once in a while.
The other elite
So you're
player on
saying
that
they should
offense
have traded for Robbie Anderson?
Well,
They shouldn't have traded for a running back. They should have. What they should have done is traded for a quarterback.
maybe Elijah Moore will end up in Arizona with Robbie Anderson, and then we'll see what happens.
My God. The NFL's in such a ridiculous, fun, stupid place right now.
And I just want to go off on a side tangent before we go into that conversation.
Please.
Because please do not bring up Elijah Moore. Because
So, Matt, I wanted to ask you about Elijah Moore.
Oh, I'm not. I hadn't even planned
I just
that.
want to because people have asked me.
I know.
Do you really want to trade for a guy who's upset on a 4-2 team because he's not getting the ball enough?
Yep.
What about Kadarius Toney? I think literally a 4-2 New York team who's not getting the ball very much. Does that one do anything for you?
No.
What about Robbie Anderson from the Cardinals?
Pass.
Okay.
How about, I mean, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it for a guy that you don't have to give up any draft picks for.
So Odell Beckham to the Chiefs confirmed.
Just listen to whatever Travis Kelce tells you.
Exclusively reported by Matt Derrick,
Do
confirming
not-
the report.
do not
confirming the
put
report
that.
by Travis Kelce.
Do not put that in my mouth.
Confirming report.
Sources tell
Do
Matt
not.
Derrick and Travis Kelce. OBJ2KC. Hashtag.
Full article on MattDerrick.com soon.
Nope.
MattDerrick.com.
That's not even going to be on FatBearDigest.com.
So just look at 1, 2, 3, 4.
Trevetta was so excited to hear you say FatBearDigest.com.
The last 5 weeks for McCaffrey, he has had over 100 yards from scrimmage, even with the awful quarterback play. So I think he's going to get some carries and some yards this weekend. We'll see, or at least some plays this weekend. One of the other bigger picture things for this game specifically, McCaffrey playing or not aside, I feel like this is sort of a sneaky trap game for the Chiefs. You lose to Buffalo, you got the bye week on the other side, and I know we heard Patrick Mahomes say, yeah, you better freaking be ready to go. We just lost and all this. So I trust that the Chiefs, will be ready because San Francisco is probably viewed as a better team than the Colts in the locker room getting ready for it. Okay, fine. From the 49ers perspective, you're sitting there 3-3. You've got a big challenge ahead of you with the Chiefs. Is Bosa going to play? Is Trent Williams going to play? Are they going to get Verrett back? What's going to happen with that? And then they trade for McCaffrey. I think there might be a mental boost, sort of a shot in the arm for the organization in that locker room of, hey, the coaching staff in the front office still think you're good enough to win the whole thing. You're a little banged up right now, but you're good enough to win the whole thing. You might be 3-3 coming off a perplexing loss to the Falcons, but we still believe in you. So it might be a little bit of, okay, are they licking their wounds? And now it's a breath of fresh air. Let's go do it. Okay. Turn the page. New season starts right now because they think we can still win the Super Bowl this year. They're sort of going all in with that. I think there's a mental boost on that side for the 49ers, just knowing that, hey, we still believe in you. We got McCaffrey now. New season.
I mean, it could be, and sometimes these moves can go the other way too. I mean, I would think that Kyle Shanahan has a pretty good grasp of his locker room, so he knows which way it's going to be. But hey, sometimes when you bring a player like that in, suddenly, hey, maybe your friend just lost his job as starting running back, and maybe that can cause some guys to get a little bit disillusioned. But I think it's more, to me, I would worry more about the Chiefs' mentality going into this.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I mean, I could have a few vibes about maybe Chiefs going to Dallas, before the bye week. What was that, in 17, I think?
Yeah.
And kind of laying the egg.
Hail Mary?
Yeah, but they lose the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Other than the Hail Mary, they really weren't in that game.
I know. They needed the Hail Mary just to
they
feel
got
like
pushed around in that game.
they had anything going for them.
But, coming off the loss, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to keep this team a little bit more focused. Hey, the whole Super Bowl thing is probably going to keep them a little bit focused. That might actually be another boost for the 49ers. But, even though I think there's about 6 guys on both teams that are around for that, to me, a big part of it just comes down to the fact that the 49ers are so undermanned.
Yes.
And I think the Chiefs are going to have a little bit more of an edge and a mentality to them after the loss. They want to prove something. Don't want to lose 2 in a row going into a bye week. So I think that I think the mental aspect of it and the emotional aspect of it probably balances out on both sides.
Yeah, today will be a big indication of who they will have out there. Like if Trent Williams and Nick Bosa are both limited again today, you do wonder if the 49ers say, okay, let's push it. Let's put those guys out there. We just traded for McCaffrey. We're going to put McCaffrey in the game too. Or look, we'll see what happens this weekend. But if we're going to do anything this year, we need all these guys healthy. So we don't want to push Trent Williams this week. We don't want to push Bosa this week. We don't want to push Verrett this week, who hasn't played this year, cornerback, coming off IR. We don't want to do all of those things for this specific week just because it's the Chiefs. We need the bigger picture view. Even the Chiefs had the bigger picture view with Trent McDuffie on, we're not going to push him to play. He just opened up the window for coming off the IR. We're not going to put him out there just because it's the Bills. We've got to take the bigger picture approach of the entire season. I do wonder if that's a part of it for the 49ers as well, because if they're both limited today, I mean, I don't know what the 49ers view is, but typically with the Chiefs, when somebody's limited on Friday, they don't play.
And we've talked about it before. I mean, on the NFL schedule, intra-conference games are the least impactful.
Yeah.
I mean, they're important, sure, as far as the overall win totals, but they're not going to be involved in a tiebreaker of any sort. They're not going to help you there. This is a game that, I mean, I would think that Kyle Shanahan, if he's reasonable, is going to say to himself, even my best case scenario, this is a coin toss game. Do I want to shove in all my chips trying to win the least impactful game of my schedule in a game that might end up costing me some games down the road? I mean, that to me would be the absolute reason why you adopt maybe an Andy Reid philosophy to this, which is rest your guys. Don't push everything all in trying to win this game, because this is not the most important game on your schedule.
On that note, are we going to get McDuffie? Jason invoked his name. I'm curious if you think we're going to see McDuffie in this game, and how much Willie Gay.
We're going to see a lot of Willie Gay.
Okay,
there's no doubt about that.
I was hoping you'd say
Gay.
that, but I'm preparing for bad news on the Chiefs front.
If McDuffie plays, my gut says that he's not starting, and that he's more of maybe the nickel guy that comes in when they go to three corners. That's at most, but. And I also wouldn't be surprised if they just sat him one more week. I mean, they got the option. It would not surprise me.
They got the bye week next week, too, so you're really sitting him 2 more weeks if you don't play him.
The only benefit to me that I would have for playing him this week is that coming off an injury and being out for a little while, the benefit to playing him on a limited basis this week, if he's 100% ready to go, is, hey, then you do have the bye week. So when he's sore after that first game back, he's got a little bit more time. And now it's not that, hey, the next game he's going to be sore after that one, and then maybe you got to ease him back in. I mean, it could go either way, but I don't know. This one, I'm on the fence on this one. Willie Gay's going to play. McDuffie, I don't know.
Well, and so on McDuffie and the hammy, I just don't. I think I said this yesterday. I don't feel like I was right about any level of his injury or how long it would take or anything. Probably just because he didn't get violently. Didn't go down violently and get carted off or anything. The IR was sort of a surprise. Not playing last week was sort of a surprise to me. Did we misread the severity of that? Was there something we missed? Me personally, I misread the severity of that. Did you have a feel for it at the time? Anything from the Chiefs have handled it? I've been surprised.
No, I'm with Josh on this one. We both read it the same way, and clearly our reading needs reading glasses.
Because we were thinking IR might mean 3. They really thought he'd miss 3 weeks. And that week 4 just play it safe, and then he'd be ready to go. Because a 6-week non-surgical hamstring injury is, I think, kind of rare. I mean, I think of Sammy Watkins, but even he was kind of on again, off again.
I mean, it can vary. I mean, and you're right. I mean, you don't necessarily know about the severity, but the fact that I mean, the Chiefs clearly knew it was going to be at least a month. They wouldn't put him on IR if they did not feel at that point that it was certainly going to be at least 4 weeks. And, I mean, at least they were fairly honest. I mean, it was the idea that, hey, you know, it probably is 4 to 5 weeks. That seems to be the time frame as far as this goes. Now, compare that with, you know, Rashad Fenton. They did not put on IR. So clearly the suggestion there is that this one was going to be less than 4 weeks. But how close are we to Rashad Fenton's now maybe entering that category? It can. I mean, these injuries can. I mean, and Butker's is the same way. I mean, that one they didn't expect him to be out as long as he was.
Well, and to Josh's point, when we talk about everything, and yours as well, that you know things vary and how we were reading the situation, and I thought it was. So people are like, well, do you want to play it safe and have him sit out one more week? So have him sit out that 5th week, and what we talked about last week was. Well, how do we know he wasn't fully healed after 2.5 or 3 weeks and they were already playing it safe with the IR?
Right.
And we wouldn't know until that happened. And clearly they view it as, no, we're playing it safe, getting him in a couple weeks practice, and we'll see putting him out there. Case in point, look what's going on in Washington with Jahan Dotson. He messes up his hamstring against the Cowboys in week 4. He misses week 5 and week 6. He gets back to fully practicing this week. Yesterday, hamstring, same one, to the point that he's down on the field and pounding the turf, and the coaches are over there, and it's like, well, when are you going to see Jahan Dotson again now? Yeah. Because clearly they did push it. They were not safe with him, because if he re-aggravated it as soon as he gets back to practice, then you know that he came back too soon. So that's what the Chiefs obviously were trying to avoid with McDuffie or with Harrison Butker, and probably now with Rashad Fenton, if they're getting, McDuffie back, is not having that scene of the media out there and video of Jahan Dotson on the field holding his hamstring again and going, week 13, week 11, week 12, when are you going to see him again? Because I guarantee you they're going to take it real safe this time with that hamstring.
And Harrison Butker's a great example of taking it and being careful with it and not trying to push it, because, I mean, Dave Toub told us. I mean, I think Dave Toub would have been comfortable with putting Harrison Butker out there with a one-step kick that he felt like, and he even said it, that he's like, hey, Harrison with one step is probably better than most other guys with their full steps. But there was no reason to push it. And Harrison explained the other day, I mean, and I think it makes perfect sense, is that, you know, you don't want to go out there and change your routine and maybe make things worse.
I believe you can read some exclusive stuff from Harrison Butker on ChiefsDigest.com.
You can.
What?
That was before that presser and everything. You had a scoop. It was Matt Derrick. Scoops Derrick. I call it.
Every once in a while.
Scoops Derrick.
Every once in a while.
MattDerrick.com, ChiefsDigest.com. Either one will get you there.
The only thing
I don't think MattDerrick.com will take you anywhere.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
With being named Scoop, the only thing you're missing is getting hit in the face by Hal McRae throwing an ashtray. You know? Oh, Scoop. Sorry, Scoop.
That would be pretty cool.
Scoop.
I love that MattDerrick.com is still listed as the unofficial home of Matt Derrick. It really makes me happy.
Very unofficial.
See, unofficial. You don't live there?
The unofficial home of Matt Derrick.
All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We will talk about this Chiefs team. You know, they're facing a lot of man-to-man.
You know, we should talk about that around here.
There's questions about the running game going on with this team. But also, I like bringing stuff up that we haven't talked about just to get Matt's initial theory, thought around it, if there's something he can make heads or tails of with specific things. We'll do that on the other side of the break. More so next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
That's a secret to life. That's what I've always said, is always talk behind someone's back, never actually approach them and get to the heart of the issue.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Beards, Matt Derrick with us, Todd Lebo with us at Robert Brogdon as well. Real quick, along with a lot of other things as to why I feel like an idiot sometimes, is that I didn't even put two and two together in the fact that Mike Shanahan coached Ed McCaffrey, and now Kyle Shanahan is coaching Christian McCaffrey. I'm so stupid. It seems like it was like an obvious one. I bet Twitter, that's all they were talking about last night. I wasn't on Twitter, so I don't know. Todd, you probably knew that. I'm an idiot. You probably thought about that right out of the gates.
There was a picture of something last week of Kyle Shanahan maybe babysitting Christian McCaffrey.
Well, now he is. now he is.
There was something like that because there's a lot of McCaffrey boys, right? And,
yeah.
And apparently Kyle's like, this is too much. I'm not doing this. We're not going to do this.
That is kind of funny. If that is the sorry, I got to bow out of babysitting your boys there. Ed.
We'll probably
Ed
see
and Mike
that.
Shanahan were only together for 9 years in Denver, so
9 years.
We'll see that on TV this Sunday 17,000 times.
Well, that's why I'm stupid. Is because I was thinking of a number of different things, but didn't even put together.
That's not the main reason you're stupid.
What's one of the many reasons? Todd, you're not stupid, and it's not stupid with what's going on where you're at as well. Let us know what's going on, and then I'm going to throw something out for you and Matt and all of us to sort of roundtable theorize as to why this is the case. But let's hear about Robert Brogdon first.
Yeah, we're out here at Robert Brogdon. I'll be here till noon. Then I'm heading with Matt there to Arrowhead to talk to Andy Reid about Christian McCaffrey.
Who wins to Arrowhead?
Matt's got a big head start on me. He's closer than me right now.
True.
But I got all highway miles, baby.
That's a good point.
I could do my best. I'll maybe beat him out there. But tomorrow is the day you want to swing by here for sure. They're going to have it's Customer Appreciation Day at Robert Brogdon's. That's I-35 in Santa Fe. They're going to have a food truck out here from the Melt with these like gourmet grilled cheeses and everything. That'll be fun. They've got the big 25-foot car Fox out here out front. And if you take a test drive tomorrow, you can get registered to win a year of free car washes at their brand new car wash they have. And you'll also, every test drive gets a Quick Trip gift card. And they're different amounts, so they could be more or less or whatever to go over and get yourself a drink or some gas. So it's pretty cool. So come by Robert Brogdon tomorrow for sure. Food truck will be here, at lunchtime. But the test drives are all day long if you want to come by and get test drive and get a chance to win some free gas or buy yourself. They have a lot more inventory than they've had in a while, especially in the Sierras and terrains. And, because I've been out here a few times. I was having deja vu the last time I was here was Dennis Gates' opening press conference.
Oh, wow.
I remember sitting right where I'm sitting, listening to that during the zone. And I'm sitting there. You guys tell me this. Matt Derrick, you're a good Missouri Tiger. I'm going to homecoming tomorrow. There is an open practice before the game at the Missouri Arena. Should I go watch a little bit of Dennis Gates' open practice?
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to check that out.
Definitely going to do it. I'm going to do it. That's that. So it all brought me back here with Dennis Gates and Robert Brogdon. I'm going to go do that tomorrow if I can pry myself away from all the homecoming fun of Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean that's boy had it. What to choose?
If the SEC had a homecoming team just across the whole conference,
it's taking me back to my days. I remember the homecoming parade usually started a little bit too early for me. So I remember my first year on campus. I lived on the 7th floor of Mark Twain Residence Hall, and I remember the homecoming parade like going by at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, and I was just like, I'm trying to sleep.
Shut up.
Sure. I think the parade starts at 9 tomorrow. That's what I've been told. I don't know. We'll see. I'm supposed to go to the parade. We're going to do the whole thing.
It could have been 9. It just felt like 8 o'clock to me.
Felt like we invented homecoming. Take it easy.
Noon on Saturday felt like 8 o'clock to me when I was in college.
That's right. All right, so Todd Lebo, we're going to have him hang out with us for a little bit, and Matt Derrick, Josh Beards. So here's what I'm throwing out there, and I just want your guys' theory as to why this may be the case. Could be totally random. Patrick Mahomes, coached by Andy Reid, record by month. Now with the loss to the Bills last week. September, he's 13-3. November, they're 11-2. December, 17-2. January, 8-3. February, 1-1. They are 50-11. October, he's 12-7. We always talk about, September. They don't lose in September. Right. But they do in October. Now, that is just surface level. I didn't do a deeper dive and go, well, yeah, but look at the records of these teams, who they lost to. But they probably played some good teams in November where they're 11-2, and December when he's 17-2, when Mahomes is out there, not the Chargers game when he rested everybody. I mean, January, they're freaking 8-3. Any theory? Matt, we'll start with you. Any theory as to why 7 losses in October alone and 11 total in every other month?
No, I have no theories. I mean, part of me seriously is just like, at the end of their careers together, maybe it's not going to look so stark. Maybe it'll be a little bit more balanced out and everything. But I mean, I suppose there could be something to the whole, we talk about Andy Reid being ahead of everybody at the beginning of the season. Okay. And these 4-0 starts that they've had, we had 3 or 4 of those in a row. Mm-hmm. Generally been pretty good. Then we talk about how Andy Reid in December, always really good. Arrowhead's a good advantage in December. Maybe that's great. There's not a lot of advantage to Arrowhead in October. I mean, maybe that's part of it. And that's not a knock on the fans or the noise or anything like that. I mean, I just think it goes back a little bit to the weather. I mean, maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's anything that Andy Reid really does as a coach other than, maybe he just takes that part of the season as a little bit of letting up on the reins a little bit because he knows he drives them hard at the beginning and he knows he's going to drive them hard at the end. So, you kind of have to let your team figure themselves out a little bit. But my gut says that 10 years from now when they're all done, it's going to look pretty normal.
Yeah, maybe there's some counterpunch from the rest of the league's good too, right?
Yeah.
They always talk about that. Everyone's working on you. So the Chiefs do such a great job in the lead up to the season, and they're really hot at the beginning, and then maybe some teams adjust, but then it looks like the Chiefs adjust right back, right? Because they're so good at the end. Maybe it's like that. You're a boxer. You come out hot and win the first couple rounds. You have a little round in the middle that's not great, and you're a good finisher. Maybe it's that. I'm sure if we delved into it, there's probably some schedule things and, maybe a bad call here or there. Who knows, right? There could be some things like that happen. But they haven't had many stinker games, but the ones they've had have been in October. But I'm thinking through them, like that Tennessee game last year, right? That was October.
Buffalo game, October.
Buffalo game last year was October. Those things, I don't know. There's probably something to that. What Matt says, you get that first quarter, and then you're so good, and it's only natural to kind of let up a little bit, maybe. But the thing is, a lot of teams would love to. What did you say it was in October?
October, they're 12-7.
12-7. You know how many teams would love to be 12-7 in any month?
Like 30 of them. Yeah.
Because then they back that up by going
the Broncos in the last 5 years.
A combined 28-4 in November and December, which is just stupid video game stuff.
It's interesting.
Right.
I think if I had to put my money on it, it would be something along the lines of first of all, I'd like to legit check this and dig deeper in February after another full season. My knee-jerk reaction is largely sample size and a little bit of randomness in the mix there. But to just sort of keep copying the notes of Matt and Lebo, I think if you buy into the idea that Andy Reid brings something new into every season that teams aren't ready for, then they get to see that on tape and adjust for it to kind of try to neutralize a little bit of that. And then there's another adjustment that either the Chiefs make during that point as they figure out what defenses are doing to counteract them. Also, we haven't talked about the defensive side for the Chiefs very much. Steve Spagnuolo defenses do get better as the year goes along.
That's a good point.
So I think for at least November and December, I bet that's better. I would love to see some EPA per play per month on both sides of the ball and see some other metrics beyond just the record.
I'm not doing that.
I
looked up record.
I get it, but I think I think this could be a richer vein. I mean, I think there could be something fun to it.
I went all the way to Patrick Mahomes' Pro Football Reference page and hit splits. I did that. Okay, for career, I did that and looked at the months.
What else do you want?
I think Josh may be onto something here.
With the defense, too?
Mark that, Beards. Mark that.
Of maybe we're blaming the wrong people because, looking it up, here's the points allowed by the Chiefs in those October losses. 43.
That was at New England.
24 to Buffalo this year.
And we're not blaming Spags for that one, right? No. That was Bob Sutton.
19 to Indianapolis in 2019, which was a stinker of a game for Mahomes. 31 to Houston in 19. 31 to Green Bay in 19, 40 to the
Mahomes
Raiders.
but Mahomes didn't play in the Green Bay one, so that's not counted in the October one.
There you go.
But still, but even so,
indicative of the defense.
Yep.
40 to the Raiders in 2020, 38 to Buffalo last year, and then 27 to the Titans, which was another stinker.
And then 24 this year.
So two Mahomes in the offense stinkers, and then woohoo, a lot of points give it up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and we can go through that.
The Chiefs did lose one of those games, scoring 40 points.
Yeah, I mean, we can add on. That was 2018. That was at New England. They lose by 3, and that was what, Monday night or Sunday night? And that
Josh
team,
Shaw, thank you very much.
And that team wins the Super Bowl that year. So they lose by 3 in that game. The next year, Indianapolis was an odd, weird game, 19-13. Plus, Mahomes had his ankle stepped on again by Cam Irving in that game. Houston was a game they came out and they were going to win that one. And then whatever happened in the fourth quarter happened in the fourth quarter. They end up losing 31-24. The Raiders game at home in 2020 when they lose 40-32, that was an odd one that could have been changed by what I still feel like is a phantom holding call on Kelechi Osemele, which was a long touchdown.
I told you there'd be some bad calls in this, Jason.
Yeah, that's true.
40 points. 40 points allowed.
They still gave up 40 points, and there was the interception where Kelsey, because it was COVID year, so we didn't get to talk to players. They gave us certain players, and it was what?
Kelsey's still mad about that.
It was 3 weeks
later.
later.
Today, I don't know.
It was 3 weeks later that Kelsey finally talked, and one of the first things he said was the Raiders game. Yeah. And that was my fault, and we lost that. That interception was on me by Patrick. We have some variance and some freedom, and I read it wrong, and my freedom took the safety right to where Mahomes was throwing it to somebody else, and he intercepted it. That's on me, and I'm pissed off about that game. I feel like I lost the game for us in that one.
And then the Raiders drove the bus around the parking lot.
That's right.
And
they
history was made. History was made.
Right, and then
that was 2 coaches ago for the Raiders.
Yeah, things have not gone well since the bus drive.
Buffalo, they ran into a buzzsaw at their own house, by the way, on Sunday Night Football.
That game, I think.
And Tennessee might be the most head-scratching. Even that Colts game, 19-13 loss in 2019.
Mahomes was hopping around on the peg leg.
But the Tennessee game, 27-3, might be the one that's just like, boy, you want to talk about
when
just
Matt
not
said
showing
that was 27-3, it didn't seem that close.
It felt like it was like 38-3 or something like that.
It was 27-0 at halftime.
That's right. That's a good point.
Oh, God, you're right. It was.
So, yeah, that's why it felt much worse, because it was 27-0. And then Buffalo this year where, a play here or there. So, yeah, there are some circumstances that you look at individually and specifically. But I guarantee we can go through and find some of those in September and November and December and January and things like that. My theory is, and I think back to Rick Pitino was known as a team that started off pretty good, and then January, sort of late January, early February, his teams went into slumps, and they struggled. And it was like, this team, they're not going to do anything in the tournament. And then late February, they turned it on, and they were a different team, and it was like, okay, they would always go in these late January, early February sort of swoons, like, because he was such a hard-nosed coach, and they're playing the matchup zone. Practices are hard. He used to get blamed for anybody that had an injury. It was Rick's fault because it's hard practices. And you wonder if, you start off well by having that and being ready to go, and then in the middle of conference season, when every night you're a top 10 team, you're getting the other team's best shot, and you're just not going to bring it every single night. But at the end of the season, when it's crunch time and it's go time and it's about winning in the tournament, winning a national championship, all of a sudden you're a different team then. That's the first thing I think of, sort of like what you guys are talking about, is they start off so well. Andy Reid, he's got his teams ready to go. Are the practices and training camp, remember when they were too tough, right? Too tough. His players couldn't last a whole season. So they start off well in September, but then there might be okay, we're good. Maybe there's a coast game. Maybe there's a what are you doing type game, and you lose one here or there. But I think you start to get everybody's best shot, and the season kind of wears on you a little bit in October. You're already 4 weeks in, and this week everybody's best shot, next week everybody's best shot, the week after that. But then November, December, it's time to win a division, and it's time to go to the playoffs and make some hay.
And to me,
they're going to get everyone's best shot more and more now.
True.
Because like early on in that, when it was Patrick Mahomes, oh yeah, here's the rookie, and
He's
then he
fun.
took the league by storm.
Mm-hmm.
But man, there are no days off for the Chiefs at this point. Everybody is fired up to play the Chiefs, and that makes it harder. So we'll have to kind of watch this throughout their career and kind of see where those numbers end up going, because it's hard to be up every week, man. It is hard.
And to me, that's the piece of it. It's not the physical aspect of it; it's the mental aspect of it. And I'm working on a piece for Chiefs Digest right now about that. And we talked a little bit about it last week because Orlando Brown had talked about it at the podium. But it's how do you maintain the mental edge week in and week out? Because it's not just that you're getting everybody's best game plans; you're getting everybody's best mental aspect, and and their most emotional output every single week. And you cannot match that energy and that emotion every single week of a 17-game season. And as much as, hey, we talk about analytics and stats and everything, football is still an emotional game. You play it with emotions. And the reason I know that is because, you have to have that switch flipped, or otherwise Devontae Adams wouldn't be the only guy shoving people at the end of games. These guys would be just shoving everybody after games.
Be shoving
you gotta go to a space during a football game, and you can't do that for 17 straight regular season games and 20 or 21 total games plus preseason, which nobody goes to. Okay, nobody's emotional for the preseason, but you can't do that every single week and survive. I mean, and that's the thing, is that nobody does. Other teams don't, but they get up for this game against the Chiefs.
Absolutely.
This is the week they're focused. This is the week that they're most emotional, that they're going to pour everything they got into it, and you can't match that.
Todd, what's going on at Robert Brogdon? And then we'll take a break.
Well, we're out here talking Chiefs, just like you guys are talking Chiefs, because people are excited about this Niners game. They're excited to see get the over/under on snaps for Christian McCaffrey. But the thing tomorrow is Customer Appreciation Day. It's going to be a beautiful Saturday. So if you're out and about, and you want to come test drive a new GMC or Buick here at Robert Brogdon, Olathe Buick GMC at I-35 in Santa Fe. If you come out here and do a test drive tomorrow, you get to draw out a gas card from Quick Trip, and then you're entered in to win a year of car washes at their new car wash that they just bought that's right over here on Ridgeview, which is very cool. And they're going to have free lunch out here for you with the Melt food truck, which is apparently very cool, grilled cheeses and macaroni and cheeses and all that stuff. And the kids will love to see the giant 25-foot Fox. The car Fox is blown up out there, and it's going to be a fun day out here for people to come by and check out all as I mentioned, the inventory is up here now. That's good news. They're getting more and more vehicles all the time. So it's going to be fun tomorrow. I-35 in Santa Fe. It's all day long. Lunch is at lunchtime.
Okay.
And it'll be a good time. So have a good time out here at Robert Brogdon, Olathe Buick GMC. And I am going to be heading out of here pretty soon. I'm going to try to beat Matt Derrick to Arrowhead Stadium. And if I don't break any laws, I think I might be able to do it. But if I do break the laws, I definitely will do it.
My money's on Todd.
I'm going to try to trip Matt as he leaves here. Also, if you could just go ahead and tweet out a picture of you with the car Fox before you leave. I need a new contact picture for you, ideally, and I think that would really be the right vibe.
I'll just send it to you. I don't need to tweet.
Okay, then I'll tweet it. Good call. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
You can tweet it.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Here's my new content.
You've got the
picture,
content.
Yeah. Just stay and talk to Matt for a little while at the top of the hour for me, okay?
Sure
That's
thing.
what we're going to do. We'll do that. Todd, you're the man. Appreciate it, sir. All right, we will take a timeout. We'll come back. We continue rolling. We'll get Matt's thoughts on the 49ers game, a prediction as well. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, Matt Derrick hanging out with us, Chiefs Digest. We talk Chiefs and 49ers. All right, Matt, what do you think happens in the game? Obviously, things can change by Sunday if Trent Williams and Nick Bosa and McCaffrey are all playing, and Barrett if they're all playing this weekend. But what do you think we'll see in the game, and if you've got a final score in mind?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could change in this game based on whom is available, and we will probably not know for the 49ers until almost up to game time who they're going to have because they are so ravaged by injuries right now. Chiefs are coming off the loss to Buffalo. You know they're going to be focused this week. These intra-conference games just don't have as much meaning, but the Chiefs have been so good in them over the last few years. It's hard to go against the Chiefs in this one because they're the better team. I think they're the healthier team, motivated going into the bye week. I don't think the spread's big enough. The Chiefs are going to win this one. I've got them 31-20.
31-20.
Nice to hear you say
Chiefs.
the spread's not big enough after how much you put the fear of God into me leading up to Chiefs-Colts, which obviously wasn't enough fear because I still made a lot of poor financial decisions leading up to that game.
We all did.
But I'm glad you also have the confidence on this
I would
one.
not have touched the Colts game. I wouldn't have touched the Bills game. I would touch this one. So.
And you know what? You had last week 38-35 Bills. So you had the Bills winning by 3. Maybe not as many points, but you had the Bills winning and covering the 2.5.
Are you touching this game or the Chiefs or Jimmy Garoppolo or who are you?
Somebody better.
I think the Car Fox.
Somebody on the Chiefs better touch Jimmy Garoppolo in this one. That's all. That's what I'll say. Snaps from McCaffrey.
I'm going. If you set the over at 1.5, I would take the under.
All right. Is he suited up?
God, I hope not for his sake.
If he suited up, McCaffrey or Shanahan really couldn't help himself.
Really couldn't help himself.
Because if he suited up, then why would he be active if you're not going to play him? You're only going to activate, 3 running backs?
Smokescreen. Shanahan.
Don't do it, Kyle. Don't do it.
All right, Matt, let us know who wins between you and Todd out to Arrowhead. And don't speed. Thank you, sir.
No cheating here.
Absolutely. Kendall Gammon next.
The final week of regular...
drive that truck long, so don't pay for costly
WHB Kansas City. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
What do you think of Greinke with the Chiefs? You like the deal, you like the signing, and what he can bring.
I
can't get football out of his mind.
I think personally,
what did I say?
I think that Greinke should pitch for the Royals,
Did I say the
even
Chiefs?
though the Chiefs have a hole in their secondary. I think we should let him stay there.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, thank you to Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest, joining us, talking some Chiefs, getting ready for the 49ers this weekend, and we'll see who wins. We'll get some updates on he and Todd as they head out to Arrowhead. We'll also find out who's going to be talking along with Andy Reid today, post-practice. Pretty much just hear who the injuries are for today. Rashad Fenton did not practice yesterday. Michael Dana and Joe Thuney did, so would expect them to be out there as well. And Brian Cook went from limited to full participant yesterday, so that's something to keep in mind with the concussion protocol and him missing last week. That part of passing the concussion protocol is to have a full practice. So that happening yesterday. Hanging out with us in studio is Kendall Gammon. We get a chance to talk with him, and each and every week we talk with Kendall Gammon. He is presented by Freeman Health System. Centered around you, Freeman Health System, your local hospital, joining your circle of trust, and Crown Automotive in Lawrence. They're your Lawrence new and certified pre-owned Toyota and Volkswagen dealership near Kansas City, Olathe, and Topeka. Experience the Crown difference at crownautomotive.com. Kendall, what's up, man?
Not much. Appreciate you guys, slumming a little bit and having me in.
Yeah, Josh asked me in one of the breaks, he's like, hey, Kendall just texted, said, would you like him to come in studio? I'm like, yeah, I mean, of course.
I had to talk Jason into it. Originally, he was like, no,
sure.
I hate that guy.
You think I haven't heard that story before? Come on now. And not just on radio, just in general. Parties, you name it.
Oh, no, Kendall's going to be here?
Yeah,
no, we actually...
No, love long snappers. Love long snappers, absolutely. What
actually,
do?
Can you tell him we canceled the show today? He won't know.
There's no show.
We don't actually have a show the rest of the show today. It's just 2 hours of dead air.
I'm
and
not
then
a
Soren's
smart
coming
man.
in. That's right. No, I appreciate you coming in, man. That's awesome. And hanging out with us. So we talked a little bit about with Matt, well, probably more than a little bit, about the 49ers and Christian McCaffrey. Robbie Anderson played last night for the Cardinals,
right,
and he was traded on Monday. Do you think McCaffrey goes out there and plays for the 49ers this weekend? It'd be the same time frame as Robbie Anderson to play last night, and can Kyle Shanahan help himself to not put McCaffrey in the game?
I personally don't think he does. He might suit up, and maybe he goes out for a couple times, can be a diversion, but I don't know. I don't know the offense from where he was to where he is now, if it's the same type and if the nomenclature is the same. But otherwise, it's speaking a different language. I mean, obviously, you could say, okay, you can go out there, we're going to give you an off-tackle play to the right and things like that, or we're throwing the screen or whatever. You can get a few things. But for the most part, it's hard for me to imagine. I think he's in there this week, and then he gets acclimated and goes next week. I think this is aimed, obviously, at this year to a degree. I think it's aimed more for the future with things, because I just don't see it with the 49ers this year.
Yeah, and so that could be the case. I when we first started talking about it, I'm thinking, could there be something where the 49ers put together like 8 or 9 plays?
They could. There's no doubt about it. If they did, that's what it would be. It would be limited.
Yeah. Know this, Christian. These are the plays. Get to know these. Get to know your assignment. These are the checks off these plays as well. These are your blitz assignments and pass pro.
Well, that's the thing I was going to get to, though. I don't think he could get that quick enough to where he knows who to pick up. Because obviously, as an offensive line, you figure out who's the Mike backer each and every time, and then the back's going to find the bubble backer, or if the safety's up, walked in the joker position or something like that. All those different things. And I just don't think he could do that. So that's not going to protect your QB enough. Yeah. So if it isn't a throwing situation, I just don't think they would want him in there. And if he was in there when you think it's a throwing situation, I would bring the house.
Yeah, and real quick along with that, and then Josh,
I want to talk about running backs and picking up pass pro and stuff. Yeah, so I'm sure we'll make the time.
But along with that, of how much does he play? Does he play at all? I would wonder if here are the plays you're going to be in on. Jimmy, we're not audibling. We're not checking it, because Robbie Anderson last night as a wide receiver, hey, check, now you're running a dig. Now you're running an over route. You were running this, you were going to run a 15-yard out, now I need you to run the over. That's different than, all right, check, you were getting the ball, now we're going into this guy's switching over there, this guy's blitzing right here, now you're going to have that person. Yep. So it's a little bit different than Robbie Anderson playing last night for 7-8 snaps, and if there were an audible or a check.
Well, yeah, and we've talked so much about the Chiefs running backs this year and how much they trust Jerick McKinnon in pass pro, Clyde's role over the last few years, Pacheco being a rookie. And the part of it that I think we probably from the outside understand the least or can just see on TV is that communication throughout the week and getting more comfortable in understanding what the offensive line to quarterback to running back communication's all like. And I'm just interested in what you think the timeline can be for running backs to get comfortable in a system in pass pro, beyond the physical side, just mentally knowing what to read for.
I don't know how long it takes. I venture to guess that it takes more than 2 days, though.
Yeah, sure,
that's
fair
what
enough.
I'm going to go with.
Fair enough.
But sometimes if you see a tackle, pat his butt on the cheek, he's telling the back right there that he's doing something and he needs to do something differently. You don't know if the safety's walking up in a joker position, so now you've got to change some offensive line, or they're sliding to one side or the other, things like that. I just don't think that you can do that comfortably in a couple days. And Jimmy Garoppolo is not, he's not a statue, but he's close to it. I mean, he's more athletic than you would see, but he just likes to stand back there, so I don't think it would be good.
Yeah, he's not Matt Ryan or Tom Brady, and he's not Josh Allen.
No, but it's kind of funny. I've heard some people say, well, it might have been Spagnuolo. He said, I remember him when he was under Tom Brady at New England, and he looks like Tom Brady back there. I'm like, maybe he looks like him, but he doesn't play like him. No, it's not the same guy.
Yeah, because Brady's there in the pocket, and he's stepping up in the pocket, or he's getting sacked, or he's throwing the football away. Jimmy G can run a little bit and move around, but again, nobody's going to mistake him with Josh Allen or Lamar, or really even Herbert, being a little more athletic as well. So there's a mixture there of a guy that's typically going to be on his spot when you get there in the backfield, and McCaffrey. But also, I would wonder, too, if there's a mobile quarterback, does that change how long it would take for you to get used to, I'm picking up this guy in a block, but I know from tendencies that this quarterback, because I've played with him a lot, like Singletary for the Bills, I know if I'm picking this guy up, that Josh is probably going to do this over there, so I may lean one way or another, or take this angle that there's no way you can know that unless you've been around him for a couple of years.
And it's tough. And, everybody knows I was a long snapper, but I was a backup lineman as well. And, I didn't play that much in regular games, but I was in practice and everything. And you do hate it when you don't know where your quarterback's at. That really bugs you, and certainly as an offensive tackle, but as a guard as well. And if they step up into you, or if it just is what it is. If you don't know where the QB's at as an offensive lineman, it can be very frustrating.
What have you seen from the Chiefs in that regard lately? I mean, the interior looked like maybe it was giving, or at least Mahomes was feeling some interior pressure against the Bills. We talked a lot about the tackles. I mean, that whole relationship and that ecosystem right now is very much under the microscope.
It probably is a little bit. I thought earlier in the year and even in the preseason that he was stepping up a little bit. Then he was sliding one way or the other to extend the play. That's not what I saw with the Bills, but that's also a good Bills team. And the fact is, I thought Andy Reid put it beautifully this week when they talked about, do you keep people in or do you get everybody out on the route? And what he said just cracked me up. He said, well, Patrick's pretty elusive, which is to say, you know what, we're okay if he gets out of the pocket. We go with it. And I mean, that he plays street ball with the best of them, and that's what he does some good work. Not that he can't sit in the pocket and pick you apart, but I mean, that's where he does good work as well. So I think he was just basically saying, no, if they get home with just rushing 4 and he has to get out of the pocket, we're okay with that also.
Yeah, there's 2 ways to win. So if your offensive line protects you, okay, good. You trust Patrick Mahomes to be able to pick the defense apart. If it doesn't, you also trust Patrick Mahomes to do something special and to get out and run around and not be sacked. And at worst, throwing the ball away and taking an incomplete and moving on to the next down.
And I think as an offensive lineman, you just have to be wary of that and understand if you haven't heard the whistle, you got to keep blocking and keep blocking. You can't let go early because he's running around.
Beards, can we play the clip that we have of Patrick Mahomes? This was from Wednesday, and he talked about, recognizing the looks and man-to-man and zone and the different things they're seeing this year and what the Bills were doing. But this is just Patrick Mahomes just in general talking about, reading and knowing what the defenses are going to do pre-snap by what the Chiefs do. And he brings up a little bit of what we're talking about in being in the pocket and doing some of those things. So let's take a listen to that.
Yeah, I mean, we do a great job of motioning and stuff like that. And even when defenses give me the false man zone IDs and stuff like that, you get a good feel by the alignment of the DBs or how the linebackers their eyes are in the backfield. I mean, there's little tells you can get from every defense. And I think I've done a great job of that. But now it's just about getting through your progression and getting to the right guy. That's something that I think I could have been better than I was last week. And I've been better this season. But as the season goes on, I want to stay on top of that.
It's really the last part that to me was the bigger part of that. It's about going through your progressions, finding the guy, and I wasn't as good as I should have been last week. I've been better this year,
right?
But last week was not one that I was good at. I thought it showed. I asked Adam Teicher on Tuesday, just straightforward, does Patrick Mahomes trust his offensive line? Because in the Bills game, it looked like a decent amount of lack of trust because there were some clean pockets that he left early from.
Right.
And he's talking about it right there.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple times also where he actually did stand in there a little bit longer, and I think he could have dumped the ball off earlier and got the first down. But sometimes I say guilty, but he is guilty of trying to stand in there and make a little bit bigger play. But in general, I don't know. I mean, I think he's just basically telling himself that, maybe he did get a little bit of happy feet and with it. And I don't know. It's hard to criticize Patrick Mahomes very much. And I know you're not, but it's just
but it's
and I love that he's so real with everything too, and he's authentic.
Because the last thing I would want Patrick Mahomes to do is say, okay, on this play, I'm staying in the pocket.
Right.
I'm going to go through my progressions, and I'm going to make sure my feet are set a specific way. And then, oh, by the way, backside, I just got hit, and now I'm sacked.
Right.
I'd like him to just be instinctual, just be Patrick Mahomes. And I think instinctual in the Bills game, I do think there was a little bit of a lack of trust. And I think Von Miller can do that. I think Von Miller.
There's no doubt about it.
Because there were a couple of times early in the first half, or I should say in the first half, earlier in the game, but in the first half, that it almost looked like right when he got to his back step, wherever Von Miller was is where he leaked the other way.
Right.
So Von Miller was to his backside, he got to his back step, and then he started to sort of roll to his right a little bit, even if there might have been a cleaner pocket. When Von Miller was to his right, he sort of started going to his left, unless Von Miller crossed his face, which is what that last play was. And apparently it was designed to do that. Von Miller was designed to cut inside to make Mahomes go outside and Milano to cut off. So Leslie Frazier, hat tip, well done, well-designed play. But it felt like at times there was I know where Von Miller is, and I'm going to sort of drift the other way to give me a little bit more time.
And I would say, I'm curious your thoughts, but given the choice of the two, do you stand in a little bit too long, or do you leave too early? I'll take
early.
the leave early for sure.
Yes.
I remember when I was with the Steelers and we were playing the Chiefs, and Derek Thomas was here, and we were talked about it. It was like, you come up to the line every single time. Your point, you know where Derek Thomas is. You have to know where he is every single time, and that's what Von Miller is.
Did you guys have the approach of wherever he is, we're going to run at him?
Absolutely, yes.
Yep.
Because you could not run away from him.
Yeah.
The best choice was to run at him.
And I wonder if that happens with Von Miller. And he loves Derek Thomas. That was he wore a Derek Thomas shirt pregame.
Oh, did he? Oh, wow.
On
That's
Sunday.
Cool. Didn't know that.
So yeah, he loves DT, and so but he also says I'm a natural Chiefs hater because he was in Denver and now he's with Buffalo. So that's great. I like Von Miller. So it's I wish he were.
He's got a nice way about him. Oh, I see it right there. Absolutely. There you go.
It's a cool gesture.
That's
for
service
sure.
with a smile right there. Just pull things up. That's outstanding.
No doubt. And I do wonder if that's part of the strategy of, okay, if we're going to run, let's run at Von Miller.
Yeah.
If we're going to pass, do we shade over his way? But there's also execution that comes along with it. So we talk about play call and execution and things like that. People were wondering, okay, do you chip with a running back? Do you keep a tight end in? And that's where you were talking about Andy Reid saying that, well, Mahomes is pretty elusive. You also have to execute, too, because there was a play. Von Miller's first sack was Jerick McKinnon was chipping. So he goes to Andrew Wiley's right to chip, and as he gets there, Von spins inside.
Well, and that's the thing, is you can't get beat inside.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know you've got help outside, you've got to err to the side of the inside. And you know what? Sometimes you make mistakes and you overset, and it's also that's a first ballot Hall of Famer who may have just set you up with the step that we don't even notice. We don't even understand until you see it in slow motion and gets it. So we don't know what's going, but I know where you're going with that one.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
It may have been. I didn't see it. I saw that, he spun inside, and it's like, well, you can't really let that. But it might have been Jeff Schwartz, or it might have been somebody else that is on Twitter that covers the offensive line, which I love. And it was one of those to where he pointed at his feet and said, well, his left foot here, he's already done. And maybe Von Miller, as he's coming in, sees that and is already going to spin anyway. But Wiley's biggest mistake is knowing you had Jerick McKinnon there, so there's no reason you should have been in that position to begin with. You had to overcorrect to the inside.
Yep, and it's just a big thing for tackles. As you set back, you want to keep your inside foot facing straight ahead so you can set on the inside move. The minute your foot comes to the outside at 45 degrees or more, you've turned your body, and so you're susceptible to that inside move. And I'm pretty sure that's what he was talking about.
And it's like, man, so we want Andy Reid to keep a tight end in or chip on Von Miller. His first sack, they chipped. His second sack, they double-teamed him. Or not his second sack, but the last play of the game, they double-teamed him and got there. His second sack, they didn't. They left one-on-one with Wiley. Mahomes was also sort of rolling to his left a little bit there. And that might have been just a protection thing because watching that one again, you had Orlando Brown and Tooney were double-teaming Rousseau, and Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith were double-teaming Jordan Phillips.
Okay.
And I don't think that was probably pre-snap what they would have liked. I think they were planning on a blitz coming a certain way and saying, here's our 5-on-5. And when Trey Smith was looking at this guy in front of him, the closest.
Yeah, they sugar him right there.
Yeah.
They come up and you make you think, and then they go away, and now all of a sudden you can't get back, and you can't get the ribs right there.
Exactly. But by the time that happens, Wiley's already turning the corner by the time he drops back and Trey Smith looks right. So then he goes left to help out with the only guy he could probably get to. So it looks like you double-teamed Phillips and you double-teamed Rousseau and you left Wiley one-on-one. Yeah, I mean, there's certain rules that happen in pass protection that you follow those regardless of who the player is. Because if they plan on, let's say they call out and they go, okay, Trey, you're going to double team Von Miller over here with Andrew Wiley. And then Creed steps to his left and that guy goes. Everybody be complaining about how do you let that guy run straight up the middle untouched? I mean, sometimes the other team has a good call. And again, Leslie Frazier's a damn fine defensive coordinator, and it's the cat and mouse game.
Yeah, as an offensive line, sometimes what happens is not what was designed, and it just happens. As far as that spin move and going inside, I remember we used to talk about this with Reggie White, and like when he'd do that hump move to left tackles, didn't matter who. It's like you get that, he lift you off your feet, and it's like, that's not the first time he's done that to somebody, and it won't be the last. So don't feel bad about it.
I mean,
it happens.
But you talk about it, but as their way of, hey, here's how we're going to counter that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I get it.
I mean,
but again, what you brought up is very important, is the fact that you sugar and you keep those linemen in longer because you create indecision, and now they can't get out to where they are. Because make no mistake, probably somebody was supposed to be out there or supposed to help. I guess Jarek was, because he was on the outside, so maybe it was designed that way. But either way, that's like you said, that's the chess game that you're playing between the O&D coordinators.
I just think so Von Miller goes outside and then spins inside. Okay, his typical move is going to be that pass rush and speed rush. He's got a lot of other things. So I can see maybe getting beat on the spin move inside. But Reggie White sort of going power a little outside and then just tossing you with his right arm. Like, I don't know I know what Andrew Wiley could have done is, okay, you need to anchor more on the inside, so therefore you're not going to get beat on the spin move. All right, he did, and then the second sack, Von Miller beat him to the outside. But Reggie White just had that ungodly strength to where
it was ridiculous.
He starts to get, and then he just tosses. I'm not sure what the offensive line. Oh, next time I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
What?
It was my roommate who was a tackle, is Ariel Solomon from Colorado, and he played him in his rookie year in the preseason. And he was just like, man, he goes, I'm going out there. I've only played offensive line for 2 years, and I'm going against him. He goes, it's pretty intimidating.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Kendall Gammon is our guest. We're hanging out with him, and he is presented by Freeman Health System and Crown Automotive in Lawrence. Travis Kelce said on his podcast this week, and a couple of Chiefs players have said it as well, that, you feel like mistakes were made by your team and you left some things out there. And I think Kelce said we kind of just gave it to him. And then he quickly went like, well, it's a good team. Like, I didn't say that, I'm not saying that they didn't beat us, but they're a good team. But, man, there were some things that we could have done and should have done. Looking back and playing, is it better to come out of a game having a feel of like, well, we just got beat by a better team. Nothing we could have done. We did this, we did that, but that's just a better team. Or your peer on the other side and you feel like you gave the game away. Like, if there is a better feeling, what would you rather have as a team, a feeling that week of we lost that one, man. We made so many mistakes, or nothing we could have done. We played okay. We're good, but that's just a better team over there.
I think it's easier to build on it if you understood that you made some mistakes, and if you correct those, you would have had a chance to win, as opposed to thinking, you know what, we gave it our best shot and they're just a better team than us. Because if that's the case, then what is that mindset when you play them again in playoffs, hopefully? So I think either or. The game, we all know it could have gone either way. Anytime people ask me about a game, I'm like, it's 4 to 6 plays that decide a game most every week, even with teams that aren't good to the ones that are top tier. But when you get these type of games, it's literally one play that goes one way or the other that could have decided the whole game.
I still look back at 3rd and 13.
Exactly.
I
thought it was interesting at the end also. They hadn't run Josh Allen most of the game and designed, and then they needed first down. And all of a sudden he goes around to his left. And I was like, that's genius, really. I mean, not the fact that you're running him, but that you held it back until you actually needed it. And then, other time when he jumped that guy over there, I'm sitting back next to my son Blaze, who played at K-State, and 6'8", and he just looks at me. He goes, guys like that aren't supposed to be able to do that. I mean, he's just a special. He's a special kind of player.
Yeah, he's an alien. He's a video game character come to life.
Absolutely.
Mentioning just like the handful of plays that seem to always turn. I keep going back to this one because the guy who messed up here is like unimpeachable in terms of how good he's been so far. But Creed Humphrey being just a little too far downfield on the MVS touchdown, getting the illegal man downfield penalty. I imagine what happens there. He just drifted too far. I'm just interested in whenever you have a play like that where you just got the edge again over a great team, and a great player was just a yard farther downfield than he was supposed to be, and it comes back again. Is that something that you like revisit? Do you have to delete that immediately? Like, how does that work?
Absolutely. I mean, I always talk about it with me on the snapping side of it. I was paid to snap well each and every time, and I was also paid to snap well when the snap wasn't so good that last time. It's one snap and clear. You got to let it go. If you continue to dwell on what's going on in the past, this is when I speak to corporations, schools, people, whatever. If you dwell on the past and you let that affect the present, then that kind of makes your future dismal. So you don't want to do that, and that's something that's so very important, I think. So you've got to let it go.
And how many great long snappers are there?
One, I think, present company included.
One. I know I'm the best. I feel like I'm the best in this room.
I long snapped in high school, so I'm second.
So I don't know.
I just want to be second.
I haven't seen you play.
No. And I would be, if I also had to cover, it gets even worse. Please hear me. I was never a Pro Bowler, nor did I ever take a paycheck from an NFL team.
mark that.
You've got number one. You've got number one. I just want to claim silver for just this whole room.
Okay,
maybe the whole building, honestly.
Hey, number two. Hey,
I'll take silver.
3, that's not bad.
No,
You're
not at all.
Outstanding.
I went on the medal stand.
You know, I looked at Instagram today, and a long snapping site. They put a picture of me bouncing a ball on my nose when I was at the Pro Bowl, and some stuff was kind of funny. And because I always used to play around. If you don't know, I'm a juggler. I've juggled center ring for Ringling Brothers twice in my life, and competed nationally and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, we need to talk about that
more.
I completely forgotten about that, but I remembered
when I would be in preseason games around people. I like, you want NFL films to come over here, and they're like, "What do you mean?" I go, "Watch." And I'd start bouncing a ball on my nose. Bees to honey. They couldn't help themselves. They were over there so quick. It was unreal.
You gotta have some real sway to say, "Hey, NFL films, you're gonna want to see
no,
this."
No, didn't have to do that. Just bounce a ball in your nose. They're attracted. It's like a tractor beam. It's a Millennium Falcon coming into the Death Star.
Sucked me right in, man. I couldn't do anything other than that. So the one play here or there.
I can't believe you're not following up on the juggling thing, Jason. This is malpractice, man.
Only because we don't have a lot of time left.
Mick Shaffer can shove it.
Hold on.
I mean, I don't really care about Mick.
Next Friday, go with a bye week.
All right, fair enough. Okay,
we are going to juggle this entire juggling conversation.
Fair enough.
Well,
let's
see here, though. What is that? That's the 28th.
28th, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it also needs to be next time we get him in studio. Maybe we get some props. The video feed, Beards.
I was just thinking I can come in here the 28th.
He can come in here the 28th.
Done.
Okay, but just to give you a preview of this, we'll have one little thing. So
chainsaws?
No, but fire, machetes, all cats, things like that. I'm kidding. They were kittens, but all the same. But so I'm at the circus one time, and I'm with the boss clown. That's his name, and we're juggling and doing some things. Then all of a sudden, one of the, I'll say, smaller clowns comes over to me. And he goes, lay down and put your arm straight up. I'm like, what? He goes, just lay down and put your arm straight up. So I did. I laid down, put my arm straight up, and he does a handstand.
Unbelievable.
15 years in the NFL, never made it into sports magazine, yet I do that, and I make it into ESPN the magazine.
What?
Balancing a small clown.
I'm not small, but I've been a clown before. I've been called a clown before at the very least. You want to recreate that during the break?
You know what? I'd rather
I don't
not.
think you could probably pull that off, though.
No, that's true. I would not be able to hold on my end of the
I've been trying to cut down.
Yeah, the strength for the clown probably weighs in on this a little bit. No pun intended with that. My brother just texted me and said, he goes, dude, we got to talk to Kendall at a circus when Zach, my nephew, was in middle school. He's now, his mid-20s, married with a child.
Okay.
He said he showed Zach how to long snap using one of the bowling pins that they were using to juggle.
Oh, my God.
And then my nephew was long snapping, too.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I apologize, but then I've been hitting the head a lot. So.
But at one of the circuses,
how about that?
You met him and you showed him long snapping with a bowling pin.
Full service. I'm going to tell you right now, when the PR staff with the Chiefs got a request from the circus, like, do you have anybody that wants to come out to the circus and do a PR thing? They lost their mind running down to get me. They're like, they knew I juggled, like, finally. And literally they come down and they asked me if I wanted to go there. My answer was not yes. My first response was, can I ride the elephant too?
Did they let you ride the elephant?
They did not.
Okay,
but it's not,
all right.
It's not the same old sad didn't get to ride the elephant story. I did juggle and have a good time.
That's pretty good.
But you also did not get to ride the elephant.
Did you get to touch the elephant, pet the elephant?
I don't remember.
Okay.
No,
you didn't get to.
I did not.
Didn't get to be in the lion's cage or anything.
I did
with
not. No.
With them.
No,
none of that stuff.
No.
Oh, that's too bad. I wish we had
so glad you mentioned that, man.
Next week,
I am so excited for. You thought, hey, I'm just in the area. I'll swing through the studio. What you didn't know is you're getting homework and an assignment for next week and all of that. But I am thrilled.
Be an attraction, not a distraction.
I cannot wait. All right,
Pro Bowler and trick shot artist is a really special business card that you've got.
Do you have a score in mind?
Chiefs Niners.
It seems secondary at this point, right?
Bring it back to that.
I'll go 23-14.
23-14.
Chiefs. Yeah.
All right, we've got you on record. 23-14. Kendall. I mean, I had a blast, man.
It was real. Absolutely.
Thank you for coming in the studio. That's great. Cannot wait for next week as well. There's Kendall Gammon. He's presented by Freeman Health System and Crown Automotive in Lawrence. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. And unfortunately, Mick Shaffer will be here.
Yeah, so what a letdown that's going to be.
Unfortunately.
He has a party horn he can blow or something?
Maybe. I'm not sure. We'll find out. Maybe he got to ride the elephant once.
This is a juggler to clown situation for sure. We get 2 clowns and a juggler to 3 clowns in studio next.
I feel like I'm going to be referenced for quite a while.
Yeah, you certainly are.
As you will.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
You know what? Bleep you. I'm having a Crustable. Not an Uncrustable. I'm crusting that thing.
Oh, I'm eating crust tonight, baby.
Crusting it up, bitch.
Put the crust back on there.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll hear from Andy Reid at the podium. Travis Kelce will be in the locker room today that we will hear. Do have an update on the Lebo.
Not just an update, Jason.
I know.
Breaking news.
Breaking news on the Lebo Matt Derrick competition to see who would get to Arrowhead first. Matt Derrick on with us until noon, was leaving from here. Todd Lebo was out at Robert Brogdon. He was leaving from there at noon, and it was who is going to make it there because Lebo had highway miles where Matt had some stoplights to get to the highway, then to make it to Arrowhead. We have a winner. It is Todd Lebo. He won.
I believe that.
By 30 seconds. He beat him by 30 seconds. So us holding Matt Derrick here, talking with him having a conversation with Kendall Gammon, all of us hanging out.
So they didn't leave at the same time.
Well, whenever Todd was done at Robert Brogdon, he was leaving. Matt Derrick was done at
they were leaving from here.
Was done at like 11:55 from here, so he could have left right away. But Kendall was in studio, so he hung out, he talked for a little bit, and then he left. And apparently 30 seconds too much. 31 seconds.
The photographic evidence from Lebo is hilarious because he is like, clearly he was waiting and then he saw Matt pull up and Lebo was ready to take the picture. So that's excellent. And yeah, I think we deserve the assist there on
100%.
On properly delaying Matt Derrick to give Lebo the dub.
Yep, and then we got to hang out with Kendall Gammon and the juggling. What are your parlor tricks there, Mick? What do you got?
You got to have some.
So I could juggle, but only 3 balls.
Okay.
Or other stuff. I've never tried bolt. No, I've tried. Never tried cats.
Okay.
Jason, can you reach over there? There are 2 mic covers.
Yeah.
Back behind the computer screen. I just don't think I can quite reach them. And there's a third one here. So we can have Mick juggle after the professional.
Okay, here we go.
Verified circus juggler was in here already. I got you.
I can't do more than 3, and I can't do like bowling pins or like
you're
fire or knives.
Juggling
or
very hard to catch foam things. Yeah, that's good luck. Yeah, you can't catch.
That's
not
2 reps.
That wasn't the juggling. That was the ability that those things bounce off your hand pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Those
hand-eye
things are
coordination. We'll get it figured out.
These things are tough to catch, man. Yeah, you're fine, Mick. That's not on you.
Yeah, they're also not all the same. Let's get one more go. Dun 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 dun.
Josh, don't we have like the little rubber balls in our office?
Oh yeah, we sure do.
You want me to go get those?
Not really.
Yes, please. I want to prove this. That's
okay.
it. That's the only parlor trick I have.
Next segment. We'll have it for next. We'll get it at the break.
Yeah, you don't need me the next 30 seconds that bad, do you? I mean, I'm happy to stay.
30, I just mean an hour and a half, or
they're in like the drawers and in I think the hat too.
They're in your drawers.
I know where they are. I know where they're at. I just
There's 2 things of tape there. Do you have a third?
I mean,
if
we don't
Scotch
do this
tape?
now, Mick is not gonna. We're gonna forget by next segment.
Will we?
Yeah, here, bring those over. I got.
Oh, Scotch tape. 3 Scotch tapes.
That's not gonna help.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. All right. Yep. Hey, you know what? That was like 3 or 4. 3 or 4 reps on the Scotch tape juggle. 3 or 4 reps. Okay. Oh, it's a bad toss. So it's the tosses. You're also doing it in between 2 microphones, so you're not able to Did you break them? Yes. Oh, no! We need more Scotch tape!
Hey, Mick, would you like 3 identical balls? Is that going to be easier, you think?
All right, now you're back up away from the microphone. So now Mick Shaffer has 3 of these foam sort of stress balls, basketballs, and now he is juggling, and he did a pretty good. That was like 5 or 6 reps. He's back to it. He's doing a pretty good job. He's still going with the 3.
I'm even more excited for next week now.
He just went one hand.
Whoa! Because Kendall Gammon is going to embarrass him.
Oh my goodness.
Mick's got some hand-eye coordination.
That was pretty good.
Though. Can you juggle at all, Jason? I might see if Kendall can teach me. I can do 2, but it's just that circular motion. It's not really juggling.
Yeah, it's not really juggling. I never really practiced at it, so no, I wouldn't be able to juggle 3 balls at once.
Could you do 2, you think? That's not even like an innuendo. I'm just curious.
No, yeah. No, I mean, I can do those, but I never practiced with 3 because it always seemed like it was too hard for me. So I'm like, yeah.
2's all you need.
I'm going to do something else. I'm going to go play basketball or something.
I'm going to put together the Scotch tape that Mick broke.
I'm going to go be addicted to video games. I'm going to do something along those lines. He walks in and he breaks Scotch. Oh, that was like a good 45 seconds or something that was going. So well done, Mick. That was good.
They weren't on fire, so I got bored.
Everybody on radio really enjoyed that.
Which is why you need to be watching on the video more.
That's right. If you were twitching with us, you could have been watching him juggle.
Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter.
Especially if you're driving around watching us. That would be the best,
Yeah,
right?
don't do that.
Don't do that one.
Oh. Okay. Well, I'm just saying, You know what? Later on today, you can head back home. You can watch the replay.
You can do that.
And when Mick comes in, you can watch the replay of his juggling. You can watch the replay of the attempted mic guards and the attempted scotch tape. Yeah, there you go. See, look, Josh is over there.
It's two hands and two balls.
Yeah, exactly. That's one for one.
It's what you're born with.
Even mess that up.
Typically what you're born with.
Yep.
We'll hear from Andy Reid and Travis Kelce in the 1 o'clock hour.
Mick actually has 5 total, but I'm not going to tell you which.
Mick, do you think the 49ers gave up enough for Christian McCaffrey, or should they have given up even more draft picks to get McCaffrey in there?
What did Nick Jacobs say? Like 60 cents on the dollar, basically, is what he called it.
that the Panthers,
like the chart, right? It's
like
we've seen it. It's a 32nd round pick.
30-second pick.
Sorry,
overall.
32nd pick in the first round.
Yeah.
Like last pick of the first round.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
It's what it is. Now look, maybe they can parlay those 4 picks total into 2 or 3 starters. Maybe they hit on all those. You never know.
Right.
But as far as the NFL currency goes, if it's just one late first round pick, then no, they didn't give up enough. Or the Carolina Panthers didn't get enough. Great deal for the 49ers.
Yeah. I thought I didn't think a team would get close to. I didn't think the Panthers would get close to getting a first round draft pick for Christian McCaffrey, and as it turns out, like we can play. Let's play Adam Schefter here on this. Adam Schefter last night with the SVP talking about how it came together and from the Panthers' standpoint of the return that they got in Christian McCaffrey and what the conversations were.
On the one hand, I don't think they were ever going to get a first-round draft pick. No teams are surrendering first-round draft picks for running backs in this day and age. Not when you look also at the crop of free agent running backs this upcoming winter. It's a very deep class. The upcoming draft class of running backs and the performance of running backs in recent years. So when you're not going to get a first, you then focus on quantity and quality both. And they figured that there would be strength in numbers. So they get the 4 picks back. They get a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and 24. And keep in mind that the 49ers had extra picks from losing Robert Saleh to the New York Jets and from losing Mike McDaniel to the Miami Dolphins and from losing Martin Mayhew to the Washington Commanders. So the 49ers had 6 bonus third-round picks spread over years, in part that helped fund this trade for Christian McCaffrey that they agreed to tonight.
So that they're not going to get a first rounder, okay, but they got the what turns out to be trade value chart equivalent of a late first round pick. But that to me is where when he talks about teams aren't going to do that because the free agent crop of running backs is going to be pretty good. And apparently the running backs coming into the NFL next year are going to be pretty good, which then makes it even more head-scratching than if you're the 49ers standpoint to give up all those picks for McCaffrey, who's good, and then you'll be paying him $12 million next year. I don't know what you'd be paying for Saquon Barkley, who is a free agent, or Kareem Hunt, who is a free agent. Rashad Penny has been awesome for Seattle before the injury. He's a free agent, probably won't go for nearly as much now if he'd have continued on the pace that he was. He's out for the season, right? Rashad Penny is. I believe so. I think I got that right. If not, he's out for a while. But he was cooking, without Russ there. And an injury, now, how much does that lower his value? Josh Jacobs, a free agent at the end of this year because they didn't pick up the 5th-year option. Now, could some or a couple of those guys be franchise tagged? Certainly, the Browns aren't going to franchise Kareem Hunt. So how much would you pay for Kareem Hunt? And you'd still have a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and a 5th rounder if you had Kareem Hunt in that office. And maybe Shanahan doesn't view Kareem Hunt as somebody that fits in that. Also, if it's a deeper draft class, you get a running back that's not going to cost you $12 million, and you got those other picks. It's just hearing that of teams aren't really going to do that because they're looking at the next year and going, these running backs are all free agents and they're pretty damn good. And then the draft class coming up, and Shanahan and the 49ers was like, bleep you. We're getting McCaffrey.
There's also a lot of teams that have found great production from underrated running backs who, undrafted free agents or late picks or just free agents on the market who have gone on to have great success, like the 49ers.
I was going to say, well, there's no team in San Francisco that has done that, right?
What are we doing? I think the McCaffrey, Debo, again, personnel packages, I'm sure that'll be a blast for Kyle Shanahan to draw up in his dreams. But that might be the only place they see them consistently. I don't get it, man.
Are they, what are the 49ers doing? Are they selling out stadiums? Are they having any issues with fans showing up? Because McCaffrey's a god in that area of the country. He went to Stanford. It's like, right? Is that part of it? Like, okay, we're going to generate some buzz here with this signing because everybody loves McCaffrey. Had this flawless college career, and
it's a little bit
right
like
down the road.
A little bit like a lost leader, like the Angels with Albert Pujols, that they knew they were going to take a bath on that contract later on, but they wanted to steal some of the Latin market from the Dodgers over to the Angels. So we got Pujols. And so, now the fans are more interested. You get more fans out there. Pujols brings in a different sort of population that was a demographic that were mainly Dodgers fans.
I think
but
you can
now
do that
you got Pujols.
You can do that in an uncapped sport. I just don't think you can do that in football. All these assets are too limited to be able to lose any money on.
And I think Schefter makes a great point in that. Okay, a lot of this was house money they're playing with, right? These are extra picks they lost from personnel, or they gained from personnel moving on to other teams. And so maybe they're rolling the dice with it and say, hey, let's take a chance. And, hey, we can still draft a running back or bring somebody in free agent.
The inverse of that is that they gave up 3 firsts and a third for Trey Lance. Like, this team does not have high draft picks. They had a ton in that third-round range. They don't have a lot of picks to rebuild the rest of their roster.
Now their first pick is going to be like in the 100s of the draft coming up this year. But from their standpoint, they're going, okay, our first pick is in the 100s. We've got our quarterback in Trey Lance, they think. McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk, Williams, Bosa, Ward is a corner that they signed. Hufanga, who is a rookie this year, right? Or second-year player.
I think this might be a second year.
Either way, he's going to be around for a little bit, who's playing really good football right now. But they may look at some pieces they have already in place that, do we need those draft picks, or are we going and getting cornerstone pieces like the Rams did and figuring it out once we get to that bridge? We'll cross that when we get there. But in the meantime, we're trying to win a freaking Super Bowl, and we want to take advantage of Bosa. We've got Williams for a couple more years that we want to go. And Kittle, I didn't even mention him. Kittle as well.
Don't forget Jimmy G.
Like I said, they feel like they've got their quarterback in Trey Lance, for next year. Yeah, it's part of, okay, are they going all in this year, or is it? Seren brings up Trent Williams a number of times, that when Trent Williams was available a few years ago to trade for, it was like, well, no, the Chiefs have Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz. Why would you do that? And his reasoning at the time was, you trade for him because you trade for the best left tackle in football if he's available. Okay?
Kind of sound like Seren there.
You do what it takes. Right you are, Mick. Right you are. But you trade for him. And by the way, the 49ers did. And guess who he re-signed with? Loyalty. 49ers. I want to stay here. They're the ones that traded for me. So maybe this is a part of Shanahan going, you know what? McCaffrey's available right now. We're trading for him. He's not a free agent. We wouldn't get him in the offseason. He's not in the draft. He's available. We're trading for him. And we don't have to give up as much as, Trent Williams or something like that, even though they may look at it and go, well, we got Jeff Wilson. We got Elijah Mitchell. We got some running backs. Debo plays running back. We got guys. Just as, well, we got Eric Fisher. We got Mitchell Schwartz. Why would you trade for him? Oh, I know, because it's freaking Trent Williams. And freaking Trent Williams. So, a little bit of that. And it'd be cool if Trent Williams is at left tackle right now. I say trade for Trent Williams. Why don't they do that? Chiefs can trade for Trent Williams right now.
Nice.
Right now.
Right now, he might not help him. This exact moment. He wouldn't have helped him against the Bills last few weeks.
Wouldn't hurt him against the Bills either.
He just wouldn't have been
just sit back there in a chair.
It would have been
just pushing
Prince
his arms
Tego
out.
Wanogu trying to block Von Miller.
Can you put him in a rascal like Charlie Weiss at training camp and just trying to?
He could probably still be a top 5 left tackle in a rascal. I think that's a good call.
Trying to stalk Rousseau and bash him, and of course Von Miller there. In a rascal. We can do that. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. More Zone next. Hanging out with Mick Shaffer. We'll hear from Andy Reid, Travis Kelce. We got the cuts as well. More Zone next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
So sweaty, mom spaghetti or whatever the line is.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, Mick Shaffer hanging out with us until 2 o'clock. We will hear from Andy Reid. Travis Kelce, we'll hear from him as well. We got the cuts. We got what's on tap. All of that still to come. We'll talk about Chiefs, 49ers, a little breakdown of that. Huge college football weekend as well.
I'll be in Manhattan for the big college football weekend. Oh, wait, they're on the road.
Oh.
But I will be there. It's Dad's weekend.
It's Dad's weekend on a road trip?
At the
or a road
fraternity
game?
house. Yeah.
I thought typically you have those when there's home games, right?
I think it's almost better this way in that, like, there's so much going on a Saturday for a home game, for a fraternity. I was never in one, but I'm learning on the fly. But, yeah, so more time for father-son bonding.
That's cool.
More time for you to walk across campus and say, hello, TV's Mick Shaffer has blessed you.
Hello. Oh, you want an 8x10 glossy? Got one right here in my backpack. Here you go.
Family Leisure's inventory.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Is Mick Shaffer a legend in KU journalism school?
Literally didn't know he went to KU.
Nobody can ask me back. Everybody else gets asked back. I don't.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, that'll do it for the... Oh, wait. All right,
Beards
welcome back
is
here to the
really
Zone.
annoyed at how long it takes us to go to break sometimes.
Also, by the way, when that song started to play, Beards looked over at the computer, was getting ready to do something, and then he just waved it off. Like, just go.
It's
just
still
go.
music. It's bump music.
Not even going to switch. Just go. Just, hey, do the talkie. Too much talkie. Mick Shaffer is hanging out with us here in studio. We'll hear from Andy Reid when he gets up to the podium when practice is over. And typically on a Friday, we hear about some injuries, things like that, if Rashad Fenton practiced or not. I mean, there's probably some tweets out there, right, about whether or not he was seen at practice. But that's kind of the only one. And we'll find out about Trent Williams. We'll find out about Nick Bosa, Jason Verrett. We'll find out about Charvarius Ward.
I've got TweetDeck up and running
Armstead.
here, and I haven't seen anything definitive or even sort of speculative yet from anybody out there.
Oh,
So I will
darn it.
keep an eye out, and if we can break the news before Andy Reid does, I'll let you know.
I wish at least something was speculative out there that we could just put out there. Reckless. Oh, what's that? Rashad Fenton is definitely playing? Oh, just reckless speculative. He's out for the year? That's too bad.
Rangers hired Bruce Bochy.
Is he playing this weekend or?
I don't know. You just asked for something speculative, I guess.
That's
Quintero did interview with the Royals today.
Oh, did he really?
Or this week. That was reported about an hour ago.
He
when
got
Kendall
called
was
in for a second interview with the Marlins, and I say, hey, Marlins, hands off there, guy. Right?
How are we saying his last name?
Quattrero, right?
Oh, I think I didn't roll the middle
Quintero?
R. I think I glossed over the middle R there.
There's two R's in there.
Yeah.
Just not right next to each other.
Yeah, not
Yep.
Quattrero.
No, I think I skipped the middle R. My apologies.
How are you saying it?
Quattrero?
To
I thought the R's before the T. Quartero. right?
Quatrero.
Oh,
Yeah, it's after the T.
Quatrero. I thought it was like quart.
Oh, yeah.
Arrow.
Oh, Quattrero. No, it's Quat.
I just call him
Quatrero.
Quattrero.
Matty Q. We could call him Manager Q, and then Kansas City would have the same naming conventions for its manager and its mayor. How about that?
That's true. Yeah, actually, I'm looking it up. It's actually pronounced Devon. Devon Dotson. So
it's a callback.
It's a fun callback.
For regular listeners.
That's a 3-year callback right there. It's a long time ago callback. 913-912-4810 is the text line. We got the cuts as well coming up. But, we'll talk a little bit more about the Chiefs and the 49ers and what's coming up this weekend. Kelsey had a long breakdown of what happened in the Bills game, which, we didn't get a chance to really go through point by point. We didn't have a lot of time, but that was incredibly detailed and a lot of meat on the bone for the stuff that he talked about, and we'll hear from him today, and maybe he'll get in and go back into some of those things with then some Q&As about, okay, well, what happened with this and what about that? But we'll see. I do think it's a sneaky, concerning game for the Chiefs. Maybe the Bills' loss makes it more of a possibility that they come out and play well. Eric Bieniemy said they're going to come out with you-know-what and vinegar, and he expects them to do that with how they practice and the fact that they lost against the Bills.
Like chips or
Hold on,
chips
is it blank and vinegar, or is it blank and vinegar? Like you are. Okay, I don't think so. What do you think? What is your word on that phrasing, Mick? Because I think you would be
Blank
verbing
and
vinegar.
Vinegar. Nope. Blank and.
What do you say?
I thought it was.
We can say piss on the radio.
No,
right?
just say peeing.
So is it
pee and or pee?
Pee and vinegar. Is it pee? Are you peeing vinegar?
No, it's
or is it
and.
pee
It's
and
and.
vinegar?
Pee and
Yeah, no, it's
vinegar.
and.
I think pissing vinegar makes more sense.
were
because
saying
you're-
pee.
We're coming
you're-
out with.
You are spraying like an
No.
acid.
Just say pee.
you know?
You're coming out
What?
with two nouns. Pee
Yeah,
and
right.
vinegar.
Right. I've always
Absolutely.
thought
You're
I got
not
it as
verbing it,
verb
yeah.
verb noun.
Yes.
You're going noun. What's an and?
Do we
That's
have
the
a
word for that?
A
Conjunction?
connector? Do we have Andy Reid yet? Please, somewhere.
I'm Googling this. Andy Reid will be
I
joining the
think
show
you're gonna be
shortly, live
really
from
wrong
Arrowhead.
there.
It's probably going to be about 45 seconds later than
Oh, here's Andy
you
Reid.
thought it was going to be.
Let's just hear him walk up.
Person that didn't practice today was Fenton. Everybody else practiced. His hamstring's getting better, but he's not ready right now. So listen, we look forward to the challenge of playing the 49ers. We know they're a good football team, and we've had a good week of practice. I think the guys are looking forward to that challenge. Time's yours.
Hey, Willie, what's he look like on the practice field? Any rust or anything like that? I know he's been very excited to get back out there.
Yeah, no, he's brought good energy, and yeah, he's taking all the reps, so he's done a nice job. Yeah,
So he'll be up Sunday?
yeah, pretty good chance, yeah.
McDuffie?
We'll see. I'll see about all these guys here in about a minute.
With Willie, you talk about that energy. He's kind of a sideline energy guy too. I assume probably a meeting room, all that stuff. Have you missed him a little bit over the past month with him not being out there for you, not just on the field, but like just attitude and everything?
Yeah, he's got a great attitude. He's a positive kid, so he has that childish personality. He brings good energy to the room. So it was good to get him back in here the last couple of weeks. Yeah.
Coach, as the years have gone on, these in-season trades have gotten a little more common. They acquired McCaffrey yesterday. We won't get Steve, but just how do you prepare for something if he does play that quickly?
Yeah, so we know he's a talented guy, and I'm sure they'll work him in. I mean, we're expecting that. So, but you prepare for what he does well, and Kyle will use him in what he does well, I'm sure.
Coach, speaking of talented players, and I have to ask this question. Odell Beckham Jr. has been in the news over the last couple of days, linking him to the Chiefs. What, if any, is the interest level in Odell Beckham Jr.?
Yeah, I can't listen, Herbie. I can't get into all that. I mean, he's a heck of a football player. That I can tell you. I don't know where he is, as far as his rehab goes and that whole deal. Nor do I know, what Brett's always maneuvering, so he keeps his eyes open on everything. But in my position, I'm like tunneled in on what I'm doing and trying to get the team ready to play with the guys we got. But I'm not going to slight him he's a good football player.
Andy, with the trade in the middle of the season, there's been a lot of talk about players and coaches of that team receiving sort of a boost, obviously knowing that there's another talented player arriving. Do you get a similar boost on the opposite end if that player in trade is facing you all for the first time in that new uniform?
I think the way the guys take it is another good player comes in, and they have enough good players there to where you better have been focused in before this took place. I'm saying, Nate, I mean, they're very talented, and the guys they've had a good week that way. So I think adding one more, maybe it does, maybe it gets their attention a little bit more, but they've been tunneled in on this, knowing that they've got some real good talent. Yeah.
Generally speaking, I mean, not specifically about McCaffrey or whatever, and each individual is different. How long does it take someone to be able to be 80% ready to go play in a new offense, learning those things?
Yeah, well, he's been playing. He's a smart guy. So you saw that when they brought in the receiver. I mean, he came in and jumped in, played. He was there a couple more days, but I mean, he jumped in and played 80% or 90% of the snaps. So, you can get a guy ready.
Good. All right, thank you, Coach. Thank you.
Yep. There's Andy Reid. We'll see how much Christian McCaffrey plays this weekend.
Interesting that he at least says he's expecting to see him suited up out there.
I think you have to, though, right?
I think so.
I think you have to prepare, okay, you've played McCaffrey in 2020, with the Panthers. He played that whole game, so you know what type of player he is, what he brings to the table, and preparing against him. And you've played the 49ers before with Shanahan's offense, so now put the two together and see how many reps he's going to be out there and how often he's going to touch the football. It's much different this week than it will be in 2 or 3 weeks when it's, okay, now you're really preparing for the 49ers with McCaffrey as the starting running back. So I don't know how much he'll play. Matt Derrick doesn't think he's going to play.
Did he work out today? Do we know?
I don't think we know yet.
He landed today. He tweeted out, landed in San Francisco.
I'm on the side of I don't think he plays.
By the way, Google says piss and vinegar, and I just learned something new every day.
Logic and everybody else. I don't know why you took the time to look that up.
You didn't have to look up Google. You just had to ask literally anybody but yourself.
Yes.
That has gotten me pretty far.
Told you.
But sometimes you have to question your sources, like in this room at roughly 1 o'clock on a Friday.
Okay, Kyrie.
Did you
It's a pretty
check
good
the
joke, Beards.
Earth Flat Google?
I have not.
One of my favorite tweets.
FlatEarthGoogle.com is probably not taken yet.
One of my favorite tweets that was sent out when he went to Boston, and it said, "Hey Kyrie, John from the Boston Globe," and he said, "The Boston what?"
Pretty good.
Oh, it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant there. So Rashad Fenton did not practice today. Willie Gay took all the reps.
And Fenton's out.
Yeah, Fenton is out. Sorry.
If he didn't practice.
Yeah, he didn't practice today.
Officially, he's been ruled out.
Right, he was ruled out. So, but Willie Gay took all the reps. Good chance he'll play on Sunday.
Pretty good chance.
I'd say that was Andy Reid's words. A pretty good chance. I'll say he's definitely playing because he took all the reps with the first team. If he's not going to play, why would Darius
Harris... He hasn't been hurt, too.
That's exactly right. And he's been at the facilities the last 2 weeks.
Yes. Since October 3rd or something?
Watching Niners film. Spags said this. He's been watching Niners film.
3 weeks.
And now he's like, McCaffrey?
Yeah.
It's all gone. It's all wasted.
3 weeks.
Everything is wasted. Can I have my paper back there? Oh, you son of a gun.
I would love for the 49ers to just try to turn McCaffrey into a bell cow running back this week. Just see what happens.
2 days after he literally we joked yesterday about overusing literally.
Well, just use it correctly.
Yeah, I know.
It's just that
I've
overuse
talked
it
with my
correctly.
staff about that.
We overuse it correctly.
That's fine.
No, but we don't like using it all. But then we do it for. We'll just move on.
It's just that Jason gets it wrong literally every time.
That's literally not true. It's figuratively true.
Mick's head's going to literally explode if we don't stop this.
That is not true. That is not true. That is
No,
wrong. You're
that's
using it
not
wrong.
true. No, because he's a guy who literally wears his heart on his sleeve. Okay.
You realize how much this annoys me? I get told
I'm with you.
I'm
though,
not
by the
going to
way.
out the person. I get told like, well, you say it just to exaggerate. I'm like, well, literally and exaggerating are pretty much opposites. They're opposites. Okay, don't use the opposite of a word to mean the word you're meaning.
Literally misused is used as an exaggeration. Literally used correctly is to just simply present what actually happened. Anyway, that was literally off the rails this show was, right, Mick?
Nope.
Oh, darn it. So close, man.
Are we literally on the rails?
Nope.
Literally the best hour of radio you've ever heard?
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. What were we talking about before we got into that dumb
Who's
bit?
to say?
That would have been Willie Gay.
That's right.
I bet he plays.
Uh-huh. Yep, I bet he plays as well. We were talking about yesterday what I don't remember now because we switched off into the literal stuff.
Well, he's been
watching Niners
watching
film.
a ton of Niners.
He
film.
has been doing
So
that.
he's
Now
gonna play.
maybe
It's a
Christian
big deal.
McCaffrey is
Yeah,
has
that's
messed
true.
that
Maybe
up.
he's going to be out there.
You literally threw your papers.
I know, because everything is now switched up. Everything, all of it's gone. But no, if he's taking all the reps, he's going to play. McDuffie's different because McDuffie might be taking the reps, but also you've got to talk with Rick Burkholder and see how McDuffie feels and if he's going to be activated in return. And I think last week I would have said he's absolutely playing against the 49ers. But as they went through the week and they're like, let's be cautious with them. And as they go through this week, well, we'll talk with Rick, see how he feels, things like that. The fact that the bye week is next week, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be surprised if McDuffie does not play this weekend. I also think it can also be viewed as a really good thing with the bye week next week to play McDuffie this week. That, okay, he's back, he plays, he's not in full football, you're getting hit and knocked down, so he plays a game, and then his body has a week to rest and recover from that since he's not in football. Quick recovery, you're playing a football game each and every week. Maybe that will help as well with McDuffie, but I really want to see him out there. If for nothing, just to say, what does he look like? Because for a half of football, it was like, he's pretty good for that one half of football when Hopkins wasn't on the field and A.J. Green was out there and it was Gregory Dortch that you were going up against in a little. Well, Rondell Moore didn't even play in that game. So, yeah, he looked good on A.J. Green, who's, catching 7 yards per game.
I thought I was doing something here. I just cracked open the good old DraftKings app to see what a Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown would get you.
Was it plus 110?
Did you already look at this?
No.
It's plus 110. That's it.
I was just joking.
For this week?
Yeah.
He ain't scoring.
I was ready to get.
Vegas knows.
He has better odds to score than Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Clyde
Vegas knows
Edwards-Helaire.
our tendencies.
That's what it is. My thought was, well, either I'm going to get here and I'm going to see plus 500 and I'm going to be like, you know what, that could be kind of fun, or everyone's going to have done that already.
I was going to guess it was going to be closer to plus 500.
I would have. Plus 110.
So is
no value there at all.
The thought process that if they get close enough,
it's going to be goal line. If he does play, it's
that's
what
Rappaport said, I think.
Okay.
So I guess, but man, that's sort of annoying. George Kittle and Juju are both plus 185.
So it's a little bit like Edwards-Helaire.
Hey guys, Sky Moore plus 500, by the way. That's actually mine for the day.
Great value.
That's mine for the day right there.
So then McCaffrey doing that would be a little bit like Edwards-Helaire. the wide receivers and quarterback and tight end get you down there, and then Edwards-Helaire ultimately scores. Whereas for McCaffrey, some running backs and other guys will get you down there, and then they bring in McCaffrey to vulture the touchdown from even the running back who was helping you along the way. Whereas in Clyde Edwards-Helaire's case, it's not really the running back helping you get down there. It's really just everybody else. And then it's like, oh, let's run a little screen pass to Clyde Edwards-Helaire here, and he gets the touchdown and gets all the glory.
Kyle Juszczyk plus 750.
It's an interesting one.
Isaiah Pacheco plus 600.
Oh, you're go all in on that one. Come on, go all in on that one.
Feels pretty
My
good.
my goal in life is to be able to have enough money in my account to where I never have to like do the math on what plus 750 would be. Like, okay, on a $5 bet, what will I win? So I'm betting $100 at a time.
Yeah, that's right.
Plus 750 would be $750.
You can do that now. I mean, it doesn't have to be a goal in the future. You can do that now. I mean, it's
If
just
you get to
riskier.
10, do it at $10.
No,
and
I
it
would
gets
be
you
done
around
betting
that.
by tomorrow.
Much riskier.
Since that's how much money I have in my account is about $100.
Put $100 on this 8-leg parlay. Oh, it was so close. I was so close to having $10,000, but instead I lost $100.
Honey, can I borrow?
But don't worry. Next time it's going to come through. Yeah. Next time it's going to hit. And think about the next time it hits, we're going to have that $10,000.
Yes.
So it's all good. I'll figure it out.
Just need
it's great.
26 games in a row to hit.
I just double up catch up. Yeah, I lost $200 on putting it on red, but it's going to be red next time. I'm betting $400. Okay, well, now I need to, bet $800. Okay, well, $1,600. I mean, it's going to get red soon. Look, $3,200, and I got this.
Why don't you follow me in my dreams? Why don't you believe in me?
Can you just land on red once? I'm out of this is my last bet. I've taken everything out of the bank. $6,400, all in. Black, son of a gun. I bet that's happened before.
Yeah, quite a bit.
I bet that's happened before.
Quite a bit.
You think quite a bit? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I have
hotels.
my $1 one. $1. I got double up on this one. Got to do this $2 bet now. $4 bet. Okay, good. I won. Now I'm done.
That's my goal though, to never
back to
not have to do math on these bets to where like just $100 and throw it on there.
That's what I did with the Durant boost. Yesterday or the day before on Wednesday, is that I had the Justin Herbert boost of anytime, him throwing a touchdown to plus 100. I'm like, yeah, that's easy. And then so the max bet was $25 for that. Well, lost $25. So then I put $25 on the Durant. Won $25. Even. Withdraw, please. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I've yet to withdraw.
Really?
Not much in there to withdraw.
Oh man, yeah. I've had a couple withdrawals. The only deposit was the original $5 bet.
Yep.
And then a few withdrawals since then. So.
Mick, this is going to totally change the game for you. I don't know if I've told you this yet or not.
Yep.
Just win every once in a while.
I try to.
Oh, okay.
Trying my best.
Huh.
What I lose last night. It was the under. Took the under in that game. I assume it didn't hit, right? Because I think it was like 42 points the first half.
No, it sure did not hit. That was the
Thursday
over.
night. These teams come on under. No.
Hey, I got some breaking news. From Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com, a frequent guest on the Zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
But so slow to get out to Arrowhead.
Chiefs have signed former Bears and Vikings wide receiver Imheir Smith-Marset to their practice squad. He was on the field for practice on Friday.
There we go.
Practice squad wide receiver, whose name you've probably seen on your fantasy waiver wire before.
I have never seen that name on.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I apparently did. I don't know if he got some playing time with the Vikings or something.
This is the first time I've ever heard of him.
His name looks familiar for some reason.
Like, is it actually somebody that you would know?
I really think that he made it might have been a play in Minnesota at one point.
How do you spell his name?
Ihmir is the first name. Could be pronounced more like Amir. I'm not sure. I can't say I've heard his name said out loud a ton, but the Bears cut him a few days ago.
Yeah, so with Minnesota last year, he started one game, and in that game, he had 5 receptions, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
That's enough to get you on the fantasy radar for a week. If that's how it went.
Was that all in one game?
That could have also been like a season. I do not know.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see.
5th round draft pick in 2021. It might have even just been from the draft process.
The last week of the season in week 17 or week 18, game number 17. 3 catches, 100 yards, and 1 touchdown. That's not going to help you in fantasy because you're probably not playing that week.
Probably
and even
not.
if you are, you're not going to pick him up the next week.
Yeah, I might have just recognized him from that draft class. Fifth round pick just 2 years ago. Just a year ago, sorry.
Yeah. I think you recognize him from you being stupid.
Yeah, that's probably it. It probably doesn't have anything to do with my draft time sickness that I annually come down with.
Yeah, that is true. Was he a highly touted guy out of Iowa?
5th rounder.
I don't remember him.
I don't remember him at Iowa either, but I don't remember much offense being at Iowa.
How about, oh, you know what? Here's what it's going to be, I think. Am I going to get this right? He went about 24 picks before Cornell Powell, just in terms of like where these guys are at.
That will
so
make
the Chiefs
sense.
would have been in that same range. Hufunga, by the way, who we've talked about the last couple days. He went 1 pick before Cornell Powell. I did not know that until just now. I love.
Wouldn't have had to sign Justin Reed.
Yeah, would have. Well,
but you wouldn't have Cornell Powell on your practice squad, so
exactly.
There's your exchange.
They probably wouldn't have had to have drafted Brian Cook, honestly, and that
That's
would
a good
be
point.
That. Not that there's anything wrong with Brian Cook. He seems like he's going to work out. I like him, but that would have been a nice trio of safeties back there.
But again, you also then have to take Cornell Powell off your practice squad.
Yeah.
Are you willing to do that?
Is the offense able to recover?
Are you willing to do that? Also, is like safeties and signing and drafting and things like that. Seen the is it the Saints reporter that has the Tyrann Mathieu clips there?
Jason, I'm aware.
I know you are, but I'm just
okay. Yeah, I've seen them.
Or just talking about it in general when we're talking about safeties. That there is a video going around of this year Tyrann Mathieu making many business decisions, getting close to the tackle and sort of like sliding. Oh, I almost got there, sliding away, and oh darn it, I whiffed on that one, and it's like, wow, Tyrann Mathieu just doesn't look like himself this year. And all of the Chiefs fans responding and going,
no, it's him. Same guy.
Nope, looks exactly like he did last year. I mean, there's a reason Brett Veach did not offer him. At some point, they're like, yeah, we're not in the same ballpark, but we're moving on anyway because you aren't the same player. Love Tyrann Mathieu. Chiefs have a Super Bowl in part because of Tyrann Mathieu on this team. I'm glad they have Justin Reed now instead of Tyrann Mathieu, especially watching that because, my God, that was so frustrating last year, seeing that and then mad at other players on his team that did not make a play.
Pete DeMelantis, on Twitter, formerly with PFF, now with NBC Sports, Chris Sims' show.
Okay, so he's not even like with New Orleans. He was
just
down in New Orleans.
Catching some Tyrann Mathieu tape and recognizing some. Yeah, I mean, I have no opinions about any of this for sure.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I definitely am not intending on tweeting about it. That definitely won't happen. But I very have.
Just don't use his name or anything, and you'll be
Actually,
fine.
it doesn't. Believe it or not, that doesn't matter. Yeah, I know.
Even
it's
without
shocking.
using his
Even
name?
without using his name, it's incredible. He's
got caught up.
Sort of a big brother situation in the Matthew clan. I think just sort of must be a group chat with a lot of tweets. I don't know. I don't know if our friend Pete from NBC here is going to also find the wrath, but
you're also toxic, so that.
I mean, that's true. That one's.
As well.
I don't. That one I have no counter argument for.
So, George Karlaftis, ready to play? We can hear him.
GK, let's do it.
Let's hear George Karlaftis.
All right, you've been in this for several months now, a month and a half in the regular season.
Yeah.
How are you feeling right now, grasping everything and getting out there on the field and trying to make plays?
Yeah, I mean, the game's definitely faster, but just getting used to it. I think sometimes, especially as a rookie, with high expectations, you try to do a lot. And, you got to get back to the basics at a certain point and just do what you're good at. So that's all I'm focusing on right now.
So do you get discouraged at all at that point, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, you all obviously want plays back just like anyone else, but just going back to the basics. Whenever you try something new and it's not working out, and been thrown in the fire doing a lot of different things, just going back to the basics and doing what I'm really good at.
Coach Spags told us yesterday you've been working hard on the phone with Coach Cullen at night, checking tape out, making phone calls, doing all that stuff. Is there a spot when you try to slow that part of it down and just play? Because I know you've really been kind of doing all that studying and bending everyone's ear.
Yeah, there's a lot of studying. This is a very complicated game, and the game theory going on between you and the offensive lineman, you and the quarterback, the defense, and all that stuff. It's a lot, and it, just like I said, going back to the basics, playing fast, doing what you're good at, not seeing too much, and just playing fast, that's all it's been. That's been the focus for me this week.
George, obviously a different challenge with the 49ers, especially now with McCaffrey coming in. Just your overall thoughts on how that changes the dynamic of what you're already facing in the offense.
Yeah, absolutely. They're very versatile. They have guys that can do everything. The Debo plays a running back, he plays receiver. Their tight end could do it all. You know, they got a fullback that could be a running back, he could be a tight end, so they're very versatile in what they do. And I think he, you know, to answer your question, he just brings in another element to their offense to be more multiple now. He got traded yesterday, so I don't know how much he'll be playing, but you know, I think we'll be ready for him.
You guys are in the NFL. How kind of shocked were you when you heard the news, or what was your reaction to hearing the news? Like, whoa, wow, this is crazy.
You know, just like you said, you know, it's like, oh, now he's just something that we're gonna have to be ready for. Stuff like this happens. It's a profession and it's part of the job. So it's really just that.
So there you go. There's George Karlaftis, and got to be ready for those. Back to the basics for George Karlaftis. He said back to doing what you do best. And I don't know, maybe everything was starting to pile on in too much at once for him. That going back to just, okay, focus on this thing or that thing. I don't know. And saying you wanted to have wants to have a few reps back. I think every single football player through 5 games, 6 games, wants to have more than a handful of reps back. So yeah, we'll see if he can get going and pressuring and get some of those counting stats in his favor outside of just the half sack.
Yeah, I heard some frustration there.
There was a little bit. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We'll hear from Travis Kelce, we believe, on the other side of the break. More Zone next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. You're in the zone.
Do you guys want a teaser for the cuts that we'll get to later?
Yes.
By chance?
Yes.
They might or might not involve some McNipples later.
Okay.
McNipples.
Like
Right.
mixed nipples or a McNipple?
With Jason Anderson.
Is that like
Could I get a large unsweetened tea and some McNipples?
Take
You want 6 or 12?
Take a Big Mac and
6 count
honey.
McNipple.
Do you want the Mc? Yeah, let's get 2 McNipples. We got a coupon.
Kids? No? Okay, no big deal. Nope. All right, just
Want
the 4.
honey mustard or sweat with that?
Kids want a McNipple.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Josh Brisco, Beards, Mick Shaffer hanging out with us here in the zone. And some baseball coming up tonight. Padres and Phillies tonight, game 3, that's 1-1. So game 3 of that series. Heading to Philadelphia. Little championship series in the National League.
I'm cheering for
Philadelphia.
the Padres. Love for Hosmer to get another.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a
Will Myers.
Yeah.
Long tenured Royal. I do like the Padres team, though. I think they're a really fun team to watch. I also think the Phillies are a fun team to watch, too.
I love watching Tatis. I mean, I've just been locked in on these playoffs, and I mean, I've watched pretty much every pitch, and man, that guy's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, the defensive plays he's made so far in the playoffs.
Incredible. Yeah, unreal.
So,
I mean, it's like he's like erasing at-bats, basically.
And the thing is, typically, you don't watch baseball.
Yeah, but I totally have this time, and I think the
Absolutely.
Yankees are still out there doing stuff.
They are.
Astros still playing baseball games,
They
I
are.
think.
That's right.
I was going to make a joke about Justin Verlander, but that wouldn't have landed because he's just an alien.
I think Verlander is
Max
out there still
Scherzer,
doing well.
yeah.
Cy Young, all that stuff. Scherzer's not in the playoffs anymore. Sorry
Costas
about that.
doing
No, but he was
more
doing it
games?
late enough
That's
in the
where you were
process
wrong.
that- right.
Of all the things you were,
That was the first
you were
time I
right
was
about
wrong. Thank you for
everything.
correcting me
But
there.
Scherzer, now I'm questioning if you've even watched in the
Whoa,
last week or so. Because
hold on
you
now.
said Scherzer, and he hasn't
Oh, man, I
played.
love watching James Shields out there for the pods. The dads, I call him.
The daddies,
the fathers.
the fathers, the Friars. Come on.
Justin Verlander's 39 freaking years old.
I like any
named after the Franciscan Friars who established San Diego.
Is that really where that comes from?
Yes,
1904. Any team or college bold enough to have brown in their color scheme, I'm just cheering for.
Yeah, and it's a
If
better
the
look,
Wyoming
man.
Cowboys.
But I like the jerseys.
Go
though.
Cowboys.
Yes, I love them.
I like the combination that they have. It's not just you're walking around looking like poop.
Right, and it's tough because it's brown and yellow. Like they made it work.
Yeah, that's not easy to do. You're right. You can brown and yellow can.
Remember those Broncos throwbacks with the striped socks?
Like everything
Kyle
in San
Orton?
Diego is so gorgeous. The weather, the women. The ugliest thing is the uniforms. The
And
Padres
even
uniforms.
that, you're like, you know what? I like those.
I
like
those.
I think
really
it was Nick Swisher who said his favorite road trip was Anaheim because the scenery was great. And he said that on record in an interview.
Sounds like Nick Swisher.
I don't think he was talking about the palm trees.
No.
He said, no, playing in Anaheim. That's the scenery's pretty good. It's one of my favorite stadiums to play in. Do you play well there? No, I'm awful there.
Yeah,
but I love
distracted for some reason.
Love playing there. Worst performance. I've never got a hit there, actually. I've played there 120 games.
I have great
over.
performances there, but I don't play good baseball there.
The scenery is pretty good.
I have an Oakland A's hat that is signed by Nick Swisher and several other members of presumably whatever A's team that was.
Scott Hatteberg.
Coco Crisp was on that team.
Coco Crisp, that's a good
Welcome
name.
to my baseball wheelhouse. You said Nick Swisher, and I was like, all right, I care about baseball again because it is
Here we go.
2009.
Here we go.
Maybe not even.
Would love to know who was actually on that team.
I also will. I will.
Hatteberg still
By
hanging
just
out
Nick Swisher and Coco Crisp, I think I should be able to triangulate this one pretty good.
Hatteberg still walking around somewhere to first.
I like that we've mentioned James Shields and Coco Crisp in this block. Right? Remember the fight?
Yeah, that's
right.
yeah,
The Matrix. Like James Shields went to swing at Coco Crisp, and he backs because he was a former boxer. He backs away and is just like staring at the fist, Spider-Man slow motion style, as he's passing by his
like
face.
Keanu Reeves just
and he pops
watching it
up
go
and
by.
pops a couple onto James's face.
Yeah, I wouldn't swing on because
Couldn't
James
hit anything.
But yeah,
Couldn't hit him.
James Shields is a professional athlete. Yeah, I sit around for 4 hours and talk about the professional athletes. My throwing a punch is not going to land on really anybody. Probably, I'm guessing. So, unless you are wanting to fight me or whatever, are there people around that can hold me back? Is there a pitching coach somewhere
Both
that I can
Royals
get right
too.
behind? That's true. Yep.
I think that happened before they were both on the Royals.
I loved Coco Crisp and Milton Bradley playing on the same team. It was always great. Let's get some more fun names thrown in there to be a part of that. So
Hanna-Barbera was in the minors at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it was a great story because she was one of the first females to make it to AAA, and so that was really cool.
I'm really distracted because I can't verify Nick Swisher and Coco Crisp ever being on the A's at the same time.
That's fine,
but I know that what I said about the hat is true
but doesn't
from
mean
spring training in some years. So now I'm wondering, was it a different? I'm just really my whole reality from a very specific article of sports memorabilia has really been shaken here. I'm reeling.
So, but you can have multiple years of people that same hat that gets autographed by. I have a Chiefs hat from back in the '90s that all different types of players back in the '90s that autographed it, but it's not from the same team.
But this was from a spring training game.
Well, that's different.
And I'm wondering if somebody got traded after that. I don't know. None of this is interesting to anyone but me. But if I seem disengaged right now, it's because I'm furiously flipping through Baseball Reference looking for answers.
Okay, that's why. That's why you're
Usually I'm just sort of daydreaming.
Because you're on the radio is the reason why.
Yeah. That's
Kyle Shanahan was on the radio at KNBR this morning, and a couple of takeaways that people had is that this trade is certainly about now, but Shanahan made it sound like this was a lot about the future for them. That kind of the opportunity to grab somebody like this is something they couldn't pass up on. And yeah, it'll help, but this is a building long-term type deal. And the picks weren't valued as much as the specific player, obviously, because that's why you would trade them. But you do start to get into the calculus of how long can you extend this window for your team if you're not replenishing guys with first and second rounders and you're trading those for high dollar players. And make no mistake, a $12 million running back is a high dollar player. And especially a guy who's, injured a pretty decent amount. And we talked just a touch in the first hour about Brian Burns. And, Brian Burns is a name that a lot of people talked about this week. Love to have Brian Burns in a Chiefs uniform because, can you draft somebody like that? Probably not late in the first round where you'll be picking. Can you trade your first rounder and another to move up and get somebody that might bring you the production of a Brian Burns, and therefore it's cheaper for the next 4 or 5 years as opposed to what you're going to pay him? Or do you go down the route you did with Frank Clark with somebody that you're hoping is better and will give you better production than Frank Clark, that you trade the first rounder and the second rounder, and you do pay the money, but you're getting a 24-year-old that's going to be in a Chiefs uniform for the next 4 or 5 years and is going to be playing at a high level and more productive than Frank Clark? Or does Frank Clark scare you off? All of those things to say, with what they got back from McCaffrey, they're not in the market for Brian Burns. Because if that's what you got back from McCaffrey, then you're probably getting, or looking for, if you're the Panthers, a couple of first-rounders for a 24-year-old Pro Bowl defensive end who's playing at the top of his game and will be playing at the top of his game for the next 3 or 4 years.
And the position dictates it too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how off limits do you think that first-round pick is?
It's 100% off limits.
You think so?
I think it's
no
100
wiggle room.
100% off limits. I think Clark Hunt says to Brett Veach, "There's a lot of things I need you to do, and there's a lot of things that I'll be able to do that if you come and ask me, figure this one out." Without the 32nd pick in the 2023 NFL draft.
That's where it's going to be.
Like what I did there. Yeah. Without that pick, whether it's 29th, 30th, 31st, 32nd, you're not trading that, man. You're not. That's go. We are going to. You could trade up, but you aren't trading out of that.
What if he had a crystal ball and could trade? If he knew it was going to be the 32nd pick, if he knew, okay, we're going to win the Super Bowl this year, would it be worth? Would it still be off limits? Would you trade that pick for a Super Bowl this year? I mean, we would, right?
100%. And Clark Hunt would too.
I think Clark would also.
Yeah, he would as well. Yeah,
I think it's
then he would ask Brett Veach.
95% off limits.
Well, no, then he would ask Brett Veach.
I think there is a little wiggle room there too.
No. I shouldn't say 100% off limits. You're right. Crystal ball, look in the future. You have your tarot cards read, and it says Super Bowl if you trade this pick. Great. I think he would then go to Brett Veach and say, hey, I need you to trade the second and third rounder to get back into the first round and maybe trade somewhere in the 20s. It doesn't matter where you get number 32. Move up to 32. I don't care. I need your second and third. We got the comp for Ryan Poles. Trade that one too. We're getting back into the first round, and we got a Super Bowl as well. Let's do it, man.
This would be hustling backwards to me. I'm not endorsing this, but they would probably get a first in a package for Chris Jones, which they shouldn't do. They should extend Chris Jones.
I think they will.
I am mentioning that as a one possible tradable piece that they, again, should not trade. Please do not trade Chris Jones. But if you did, it would get you an extra first-round pick.
I think Chris Jones is in the Tyreek Hill category next year. No, this offseason. You're either going to extend him for another 2-3 years with big money, or you're going to trade him.
Something's happening this offseason. No doubt on that.
Because I believe he'll hold out. I believe Chris Jones will hold out.
I would say I don't think it'll get to that point. So I don't think
it
we'll
will
ever
either.
find out.
I don't think it will either. Just as Tyreek Hill didn't get to that point, because I believe some Chiefs there at Arrowhead thought we don't want to go down the route of Tyreek Hill and this being an issue and holding out and seeing what everybody else is making and knowing that he's in the last year of his deal and wants a new deal and wants it right now. You know what? I'm not going to deal with it. Let's just simply trade it. We get the value back and move on. I don't think it would get there with Chris Jones either, but I do think it's one or the other. There is no standing pat with Chris Jones. I mean, heck, if they wanted to clear up cap space right now, they could probably extend Chris Jones, right? Like they could come to him and go, hey, let's work on a contract extension right now.
Yeah.
Lower your number, and we can go out and make a lot of different moves now, right? We can go sign Odell Beckham Jr., trade for Brian Burns.
His number's not. Well, you know what? Actually, they couldn't. It's locked up now, man. His base salary this year, $3.75 million.
Yeah.
It's already $7 million in a prorated bonus and $18 million in a roster bonus.
Yeah.
So they actually have already done the cap tricks on Chris Jones this year. That's funny. Next year, his base salary is currently $19.5 million. So a new deal for next season, they could clear all that out. But I was right with you. I am shocked to see an $18 million roster bonus. That is second only to Patrick Mahomes' $27 million roster bonus, and then everyone else has a $0 roster bonus, except for Jerick McKinnon has $152,000.
Here's the thing: you can go through all of that trouble to extend him if you want to save $2 million this year. I mean, come on, take that base salary down and just restructure that thing. All right, so we'll hear from Justin Reed, we believe, on the other side of the break. No Travis Kelce today. He apparently told the media, "I've got a podcast. Go check that out." He did not.
That is not a report.
There were some thoughts that Travis Kelce would be available in the locker room. He was not today. That's all right. But what is available is KC Beer Company and the Munich-style lager, the Dunkel.
They're doing it for you?
Hey, you know what? I've heard good things about it. KCBeer.com, KCBIER.com. Discover all of the award-winning brands. What is on tap? We got some baseball coming up this weekend as well. High school football game of the week. Tomorrow morning, KU o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
At 11 a.m.
Jayhawk o'clock.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Dang it. I looked at you.
KU o'clock doesn't
I know,
rhyme.
Jayhawk o'clock. Yeah.
O'clock
I looked at you I'm like, is it KU or is it Jayhawk o'clock? I know it is. I'm going to go with KU o'clock. They face off against Baylor in a game that is 9.5 points. KU is getting Missouri at 3 o'clock, still 14-point favorites against Vandy on the SEC network. And the big one tomorrow, 7 o'clock, FS1, K-State, TCU. And we'll see K-State getting 3 points. That's right. In that matchup. That is tomorrow night. The Current in action on Sunday at 6:30 against Seattle on the road in the NWSL playoffs. That'll be on
ESPN.
ESPN.
Spread on that? Can you get like half a goal or something like that?
You can't. They're definitely goal lines and stuff in soccer. Let me see if we got a little NWSL on DraftKings.
That's on ESPN KC. Also Paramount Plus if you're wanting to watch it. But if you're driving around, it'll be on ESPN KC on Sunday as well.
Baseball, not baseball tonight, but baseball this evening starts on ESPN KC. You can hear the end of it over here after all the high school action as well on 8:10.
Fathers and Phils tonight. That starts
Fathers
at
and Phils.
6:37. Well, that is
PH. It's Fathers and Phils.
Pretty hot and tempting her. And Phil's. Father and Phil's. That is what is on tap. KCBeer.com, KCBIER.com. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll give our predictions, maybe Justin Reed, and cuts before the show is over next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
The more dead puppies there are in the world, the more that's going to dilute the cuteness of the puppies that we have right now. Less puppies means more cute, okay? They said it in Incredibles.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
And that is Mick's college football playoff analogy. All right, let's get into the Chiefs and 49ers picks for this weekend. I'm going to go 31-17 Chiefs.
That's what I was going to say. Pick a different one.
Was it really?
Yes.
I'll go 37-17 then. I don't care.
We can, I'll go 37-17. No, I
That's
was
what
seriously gonna say 31-17, and now I feel like you keep it, Jason. You went first. You keep 31-17.
No,
I'm gonna say 34-17. Show's over, huh?
Show?
Mick? Yeah, I guess.
Chiefs ain't scoring 37.
He's waiting on that Kelsey sound.
You know what? 27-17.
26-23 Chiefs.
Beards?
Chiefs win 3-2. I don't care. I don't care about the score. They're gonna win.
Don't cover though.
Any cuts this week, Beards?
We got a couple. We got time for here.
Great.
Let's hear from Justin Reed.
Let's see here.
Rather spent the last 10 minutes hearing cuts.
You know what I did with that show? Binge watch.
That makes sense. The only thing I like to do in binge form is drinking. No one's ready yet.
I am ready. I am ready. Hey, nope, you were good. You were good.
We were good.
Wow, that was a voice crack.
We were good.
That's all we got time for today.
Jason Anderson, Mick Shaffer, Josh Brisco, Carl Sheffers. Great week of shows, guys.
Very disappointed. I wanted to play like 30 more cuts.
Should have
Were
broke.
you hiding them somewhere?